There it is.
Okay, we're good. We're live. Welcome to the Ware School Committee for Wednesday, October 8th, 2025. Regular business meeting. Please rise. Pledge allegiance
To the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. First up, approval of warrants and payroll for Wednesday, October 8th, 2025.
Make a motion to approve the warrants and payroll for Wednesday, October 8th, 2025.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Julie?
Aye.
Aye. Mike?
Aye.
Mel?
Aye.
Approval of minutes for Wednesday, September 24th, 2025, regular business meeting.
Make a motion for the approval of minutes for Wednesday, September 24th, 2025, regular business meeting.
Second?
Second.
All in favor? Julie?
Aye.
Aye for myself. Mike?
Aye.
Mel?
Aye.
Approval of minutes for Wednesday, September 24th, 2025, executive session.
Make a motion for the minutes for Wednesday, September 24th, 2025, executive session.
Second.
All in favor? Julie?
Aye.
Aye for myself. Mike?
Aye.
Mel?
Aye.
Reports from the student representative.
SMK has had a great hit it again, Rich. There you go. SMK has had a great start to the school year. Students have settled in and are working hard on following all of the school-wide and classroom expectations. On Thursday, September 25th and Tuesday, September 30th, we welcomed families back for open house. Each night was very well attended and the Scholastic Book Fair was a huge success. Our first school-wide pre-K-3 assembly was held on Tuesday, September 30th. Ms. Wazinski, Mrs. Hill, and Ms. Clark reviewed the 6 pillars of character: trustworthiness, respect, responsibility, fairness, caring, and citizenship. Students were also introduced to the October focus, saying no to bullying, and will continue to use strategies for this month to stand up to bullying. Respectfully submitted by Paige Clark, SMK Assistant Principal. At Ware Middle School, we are focused and energized as we dive into the school year. One of our top priorities has been student attendance, as we are dedicated working diligently to ensure every student is present, engaged, and thriving. We are proud to report that during the month of September, 90 students in grades 4 through 6 had perfect attendance. To maintain and improve this, we are taking proactive steps, personally contacting families of absent students, collaborating with community agencies, and ensuring staff are building student relationships to report consistent attendance. Our message is clear: every day counts, and our entire school committee is rallying behind that mission. On Tuesday, September 23rd, we hosted our fall open house, and the response was nothing short of incredible. Over 265 families came through our doors, filling our hallways and classrooms with enthusiasm and joy. It was truly heartwarming to see parents and caregivers engaging with teachers, exploring student work, and celebrating the learning already taking place, just a few weeks into the school year. The Scholastic Book Fair was also a hit, supporting literacy while helping to expand our school library for all students. Picture Day took place on Monday, September 29th, with retakes scheduled for November because we know every student deserves to shine. Leadership and student voice are also taking center at Ware Middle School. Mrs. Muzinski is launching our Student Leadership Council. Applications are being accepted through this Friday. This is a great opportunity for students to practice civic engagement and make their voices heard in shaping our school culture. We are also excited to announce that Mr. Trisbett and Mr. Brock have volunteered to lead our yearbook committee. They were already collaborating with students and staff to capture special moments throughout the year. We are looking forward to creating a yearbook that reflects the vibrant spirit of our school, with copies available for purchase in the spring. As we move forward, Ware Middle School remains committed to academic excellence, strong relationships, and community partnerships. Thank you for your continued support. We are off to a fantastic start. Respectfully submitted, Kimberly Thompson, Principal of Ware Middle School. Despite weather that has felt like July or August, our staff and students are actively engaged in the learning process and the many traditions associated with fall at Ware Junior Senior High School. Open house held on Wednesday, September 24th was a great success. The atmosphere was welcoming, families were clearly happy, and many parents took the time to note their appreciation for the dedication and care shown by this faculty. This week, senior night for girls volleyball, boys soccer, and girls soccer are being held. It is always amazing to hear the impact the seniors have on the younger players and overall culture of the team. Senior night for football will occur on Friday, October 17th. The date for golf's senior night has not been yet announced. This past Sunday, October 5th, the High School Domestic Violence Task Force, along with advisors Dan Orzelak and Jesse Trisbett, took part in the 10th Annual Domestic Violence Awareness Walk and Community Gathering at Veterans Park on Main Street in Ware. Maya Lamoth was the MSC for this event, and Olivia DiRienzo delivered a speech on healthy relationships. These students are both four-year members of the task force. Mr. Trisbett also spoke at the event. The task force has been active since 2008. Together, this group has received many awards for its work over the years, and some of their videos have been shown in other countries. At this event, hosted by Ware River Valley Domestic Violence Task Force, Mr. Dan Orzelak, math teacher at Ware Junior Senior High School, was presented with the Community Champion Award for his leadership in countless efforts to promote healthy relationships and prevent domestic violence. Congratulations to Mr. Orzelak. The Ware High School of Class 2027 will be hosting a bus trip to Salem on Saturday, October 18th. The bus will leave Ware High School at 10:30 a.m. and depart Salem at 8 p.m. Tickets are $67 per person and can be purchased by seeing a class officer or Dr. Coleman. The class of 2027 will also be hosting a trip to New York. The date is to be determined. The Ware Junior Senior High School after-school program continues to thrive. On Monday through Thursday afternoons, you will find our students actively engaged in activities such as drama, band, fitness, Legos, arts and crafts, and Dungeons and Dragons. The community garden has just ended for the fall, but it will pick up again in the spring. First quarter progress notice went live on Friday, September 26th. First quarter report cards will be issued on Tuesday, November 4th. MCAS scores from spring 2025 were sent home today with students. MCAS scores are one of our several assessments we use to gauge individual academic achievement, as well as to identify strengths and weaknesses within our school and districts in instructional practices, curriculum guides, and etc. The Ware Junior Senior High School administration and facility are committed to providing a safe, healthy learning environment where all students feel welcome and have the opportunity to grow academically, socially, and emotionally, respectively submitted by Mrs. Megan Sears and Miss Ivy Puritz. Thank you.
Any comments, any questions? All right, thank you very much.
Thank you, Reagan.
Thank you.
Next, report from the superintendent.
Yes, good evening, everybody. Start off with, it's been a busy week in our sports domain. Each night this week, we have seniors night, so each sport is being honored, the seniors that play on the sport. So please, parents, certainly be recognized for that. On last Friday, I attended the Collaborative for Educational Services, CES meeting, and where the Commissioner of Education spoke. It was a good meeting. It's the first time I've met with him in person, and he told us his priorities for the year. The biggest one, or I should say the biggest one, the first one that he spent a lot of time on was the teacher pipeline and trying to train teachers and get teachers licensed appropriately. So that's always very important here in Ware. Additionally, he wants to strengthen the standards and curriculum, support emotional learning, social emotional learning, and improve performance in the lowest performing schools, and enhance resource allocation and data. So there were a lot of additional questions about funding that we talked about, and he brought his Deputy Commissioner, Bill Bell, for Finance. Not a lot of answers, but certainly a lot of conversation around where he stands and where he can advocate for the cities and towns in the western part of the state. So he knows where we are now. So hopefully he'll visit often, and he will advocate for funding appropriately for the western part of the state. In reviewing our NEAS preparation, I made the recommendation and decided to postpone our visit, which was scheduled for November. We're just not in a place where I think we can rightfully show the high quality of Ware High School, junior senior high school, and I really want that to be a milestone for our citizens, our students, our teachers, and so we're in talks Megan has done a great job of connecting with them. We can either look at the spring or the fall this time next year. I think initially my thoughts are the fall next year. That would give us a full year of really kind of rebooting and looking at some of the pieces that did go out last spring and just follow through and try to touch base with every aspect of the standards that NEASC espouses and that we adhere to and live up to, and so that we can prepare appropriately and have the right kind of evidence, which is key for them to look at, because essentially that's what they do. They come in, they observe every classroom, they talk to interview students, they interview teachers, they interview parents, they'll interview some of you, and they look at evidence. They actually look at paper. They look at what's on our computer screens. What are we working on with children, with young adults? And so I think to do that right, it would help us all to have another year to tackle that and put it together right, and really do wear proud. So we'll be following up with them shortly and trying to get a date. They ultimately decide, so it's their window wherever we can fit, and these are usually scheduled out quite a ways, so it's literally where we can fit. I've included in your packet information, and I realize that I think everything's on paper here. I'm coming from a district where we've moved everything online, so it was a little, I'm used to sending everything by links and so forth, but I think you have everything in here. So part of, and this is kind of tied to NEASC in some respects, part of what where it needs to do is we really need to examine our high school offerings and look at our credits for required for graduation. We do have a due date of the end of December for submitting our competence determination, which is what we have to do in place of MCAS as our graduation tool. So we need to make that decision, and we'll be coming forward with a recommendation after I work with different groups on that. Leading up to that, is something called MyCap, which is a tool that, working with students and guidance counselors and teachers, they look at how they're going to plan out their high school career so that they can prepare for a variety of work, college, military, whatever their passion brings them, and it explores those options. In addition to that, we need to look at some DESE guidance and policies for deciding what our graduation requirements will be. They're very close to what we call Mass Core, which is the guidance primarily from DESE. So we need to just do some tweaks to our graduation requirements, and then again make sure that we're actually able to offer those in the schedule that we provide to our students and our faculty. So those three pieces between MyCap, Mass Core, and actually you'll also be talking about the CTE policy, which there's an element of that in these conversations, along with the portrait of a graduate, which I would like to write, because that could be a more visual sort of determination, proclamation, if you will, of what WARE believes in for our students and for what we are committed to as a school committee, as a town, to provide the right resources to make sure that our students are prepared to graduate, to be able to follow their passions when they leave us, wherever that may lead us. So those 3 or 4 elements, it's a lot of little legwork that needs to happen between now and December, when we do have to pass in that certificate determination, competency determination. So we can kind of do things a little bit in phases, and we can phase in the graduation requirements. We've somewhat missed the 2026 deadline for phase-in, but we will obviously catch up in the outer years. And so that's what our work will be, which is really what we're all about, is curriculum and teaching and instruction. So I think they're all interrelated, and I think it'll make a lot of sense to our teachers to be able to do that.
I have a couple questions before you move on to
Sure.
the next one. So DESE has released the Mass Core, the preliminary graduation requirements.
Yes.
And then it's my understanding that they're going to release a final recommendation that schools don't have to adopt, but
Right.
that it's,
It's guidance.
kind of like a place to start.
Exactly.
So, as you mentioned, we've missed the cutoff for our current senior class. So, do we have a document that says what the requirements are for the seniors right now?
Yes, so we have an existing document that describes and outlines our graduation requirements. So we do
Okay.
we do have that.
Okay. And then, what was my other question? I
So
lost
they
it.
would be grandfathered.
Yes.
The existing class.
Essentially, yes.
Yeah, because basically, isn't it what we had before, just MCAS is taken out? Because we had classes they had to take.
Right,
But
exactly.
then MCAS was there.
Right.
So we've just removed the MCAS piece, but they still have to take this many English language arts classes, this many math classes.
Right.
et
And
cetera.
MCAS is still in play, because as far as we know, they're going forward with MCAS every year. There's still a federal requirement for annual evaluation.
Right.
And unless that changes, MCAS may disappear. But, so that's part of the conversation, is just the town of Ware want to stay with MCAS, and keep that as a big part, a pillar of determining whether or not a student is ready to graduate.
Right.
So that can be definitely part of the conversation.
Okay. I think that's all I had. Thank you.
Our bus contract is up at the end of the year. Mr. Parquet will work with Granby and Belchertown, who we currently share the contract with, and they will look at the conditions and parameters of the contract, and then submit the appropriate bid documents for people to bid on in the coming spring. And hopefully we will we'll time it. I think it'll be late January that we'll want them back, or early February, so that we can get a recommendation to you and really all three boards, school committees, to be able to approve before we finish our budget work.
Yes.
So we have a number in place. I just put it out there that just having gone through this a year ago, it's not going to be unlikely that we might have only one bidder, or maybe two, and increases, I've heard as much as 35% as some of the going rates. I mean, some are closer to this than I am, but...
Because First Student has a monopoly pretty much, right?
Well, I don't know that they have
Depends
a
where you are.
monopoly, but because out in the western part here, we actually have several smaller entities that could gear up, I think, to
Okay.
take on three different districts our size. So I think in this area, there are probably more options, but whether or not they're in a place that they want to do that,
Okay.
I'm sure there's a lot of considerations. Employing the drivers is the biggest one, and so they have to be able to have drivers. So, because oftentimes, if let's say First Student lost the contract, they will put an offer to sell their buses to the successor district bidder, so that the company has buses to be able to roll for the first year. But those are things that have to be considered.
They also put it out there to hire their drivers.
Yes, they
So in
do.
a sense, you do need drivers if someone new takes over, but because they're losing their jobs with the other company, most people do transfer over to the new company.
Right.
Some don't, some do, because there's no way for someone to offer, if they have contracts elsewhere, for them to offer those positions in other districts unless people are retiring.
Gotcha.
Usually those numbers can't
Right.
be done. Speaking of bus contract, can I get a copy of it before it goes out?
Sure.
Thank you.
Oh, well, certainly before it goes out, you all will,
Yeah.
because you have to get us to approve the contract, the bid specs before they go out. And then just lastly, we met on Monday, I think with all the players. I have to say it was a pretty crowded room between virtual and the conference room, on this ventilation project for our middle school. It was supposed to be done August 18th maybe, or somewhere in that early part of August, mid part of August. It was not, or it has not been done. There was a question about the thermostats. The units are in place, they're functioning, they are working. They just don't have thermostats to these 7 units. We resolved it on Monday. The hiccup was that the place that we needed to put them involved ceiling tiles that have very small amounts of asbestos on them in 4 corners, literally just the smallest amount. For the utmost safety of our students and faculty, we decided to require them to do an abatement. It should have been done when they did the abatement for the units themselves. It was overlooked. And so they will come in on the 18th, which is a Saturday. They will do that work, and then they will come in the following week and actually install the thermostats. We have to essentially run conduit and wires over the ceilings back to the original places. The wiring that for the old ventilators is been cemented in the walls, because they're all cement walls. So we can't use that track to put the new wire in. So.
And when is the next phase for more to be put in?
That is a good question. We don't think we have the grant for that piece.
It was a grant that we, thank you. It was a grant that we received. It was the IVAC grant, and we received $418,000, and we did as many rooms as we could with that money. So it came out to be 7 rooms.
Okay.
So if another grant comes out, then, we will be certainly applying for that as well, and to keep going bit by bit. But right now, a lot of grants have kind of dried up.
Right.
But we're still looking.
Okay, thank you.
And that's my report.
Thank you.
Any more questions, comments? All right, moving on to new business, MCAS presentation.
Yes. So Jan Yardley is here along with our principals and Director of Special Education, and they're going to present our scores. I remind the public and all of you, MCAS is about curriculum and instruction. While we do give reports about student performance in that, these are really tools that we should be using as the professionals in the building to help inform us about our practice and about what we need to do to make sure that we are living up to what we said we would do in terms of teaching to the standards of excellence in our curriculums that have been written. And so it's good feedback for that. Obviously, parents and students get their reports. They know how they're doing, and that is information that is useful for them, and it's purposeful, and it really does help us plan for the next steps that we need to take. So I'm going to turn it over to Jan, who's our lead.
Okay. So I have been participating in several meetings with DESE, the state, about the results as they come out. And so I wanted to start with some of the trends that we're seeing across the state. And so as they have said to all of us, that the 2025 Massachusetts MCAS results show that students, particularly at the high school level, are still struggling to recover from pandemic-era learning loss. For the first time in decades, high school students were not required to pass the test for graduation, a change that some officials believe affected engagement because students did not feel that it was important anymore. So For the high-level findings, overall, below pre-pandemic levels, state officials reported that students' performance is largely still below 2019 levels in English and math. Most districts are still recovering. Only 13 of the state's districts met or exceeded their pre-pandemic achievement levels in both English and math for grades 3 through 8. So there are persistent achievement gaps. Significant disparities remain across demographic groups, with students from low-income backgrounds, students with disabilities, Black and Latino students, and English learners performing lower on average. So, as you can see on this slide, it just gives us a snapshot of where students were when the schools shut down in March 16th of 2020 and where they are now. So the students who were in kindergarten when school stopped are now our sixth graders. And you can go across that chart to see where they all were. So we know that, I want to say particularly for younger students, can you imagine a student in kindergarten? And, you know, after a couple of weeks, we did have online school, virtual every day with their teacher. But for little ones, you know, they didn't know what was going on, and, you know, very, very difficult to teach and learn that way. And I will say equally difficult for older students. Very hard to engage and very hard to get the students to engage with that type of learning. And obviously, at that time, that's what we had to do. So that first year, from March till the end of June, we weren't here at all. And then the next year, 2020 to 2021, students were in district 2 days a week. And they were being taught virtually the other 3 days. So again, difficult conditions. There was a lot of learning loss at that time. Looking at our 3-year goals, again, across the district, you'll see that we have a goal to increase daily attendance rate, and that's a goal across the state because attendance has not come back since the pandemic. It's really still lagging behind. We have a goal to increase student discourse. We have a goal to implement and purchase high-quality instructional materials for core subjects. We depend a lot on grants for that, so we did have a grant where we were able to purchase new English language arts materials, high-quality instructional materials, HQIM, for grades 7 through 12, and they started with the new materials 2 years ago, the fall of 2003. Also, that same fall, we had new social studies materials for grades 6 through 12, and new high school science materials. In K through 12 math in the fall of 2004. So last year we had brand new math curriculum materials for K through 12 for everyone. So last year is the year when they're getting used to it and learning how to use it, because it's not, as we all know, it's not just a book anymore. It's online materials and all kinds of different materials that come with it. So we try to keep teachers on the core materials the first year till they get comfortable with it. We have additional training coming up this year to now how to, number one, make sure you're getting through everything throughout the year, and also how to pull in some of those other materials that we own and how to implement them in your practice. And right now we are currently participating in a PRISM 3 grant, which is for grades 4 through 6. And so we have to participate in professional development, meaning like a leadership team at the middle school, as well as teachers. And then by the end of this year, we should be selecting new curriculum for ELA for that building. Another goal is to implement effective use of co-teaching. across the district where that applies. And as always, to increase parental involvement, to make parents our partners in education. And then we move on to...
I have a quick question, if you don't mind, about the curriculums. Is the math curriculum just Ready Math across the board?
The curriculum is iReady Math, K through 8, and it's Houghton Mifflin Math, 9 through 12. We had a curriculum committee that met all year, the year before last for that, and we, had to go through several different steps in the process, and obviously we looked at we looked at several materials. We are only allowed to purchase, which is, as it should be, high-quality instructional materials as rated by Curate and Ed Reports.
Right.
So there's entities that rate them, and so when you get right down to it, there's not a long list. There's usually 3 or 4 different companies, different materials that you have to choose from. But we looked through all those, we got samples, we did the online piece, we had sales rep come and show us, speak to us about them, and all of those things. And then ultimately, the members of the Curriculum Council voted.
Does the Houghton, I'm familiar with it because I'm an elementary school teacher. Does the Houghton Mifflin math program have an online component comparative to Ready Math, where students are given materials based on how they perform and it moves at their pace, or does that have something different?
No, they may have something like that for the high school, but it's very different for 9 through 12.
Right.
But that wasn't part of what we purchased, no.
All right, last question. For the Houghton Mifflin, for the 9 through 12, does that just cover basic core math classes like Algebra 1, Algebra 2, or does it branch out to geometry classes, trigonometry classes? It covers all the math courses?
So we got, they call their products into algebra, into geometry. So we got the algebra and the geometry.
Okay.
Is what we were able to get out of the grant.
So if a student is in AP math, for example, that teacher is not using this material?
If they are in an advanced placement math that is an advanced algebra or geometry, then yes, they are.
They're
If it
using
is-
the Houghton Mifflin?
Yeah.
Okay.
If it is something else like trigonometry, then I had purchased, I put through a purchase order for materials for Mr. Orslak in the fall of '23. Things that he wanted, and so I got permission, and we put through things because he never asked for much. So some of those materials were, I will say, updated, but really they're excellent materials that happen to be out of print currently. So I found him additional materials.
Cool. And then using the PRISM 3 grant for the new ELA materials for 4 through 6, do you know the name of the one you're going to select, or you're just securing the money to select it?
Yeah, they're running this grant very differently now, very, very, very differently.
Okay.
And so we have to go through this process with this company called School Kit.
Okay.
And so we're not there yet. We're not to the place yet of right now we're about to set up our curriculum committees.
Okay.
And once that's done, then we'll be able, so they gave us one grant that was just for the month of August. Now we're in a grant that ends at the end of January. And then there's no information about what's coming after that. Supposedly there's another one that's coming that will take us through to the end of the year. And that one should have the funds in it for us to buy the materials. And by that I mean it's a 50-50.
Gotcha.
So they would give us 50%, and we have to come up with the other 50%.
All right, last questions, I promise. What are the names of the social studies and science curriculums that we use?
So for grades 6 through 8, social studies, they have McGraw-Hill.
Okay.
And grades 9 through 12 have, let me just think of this. I'm sorry? Savvis. Yeah, it's a Savvis product.
Savvis?
Savvis, S-A-V-V-A-S.
As in from Springfield, like the Savvis?
No,
something different.
S-A-V-V-A-S.
Oh, V-V.
Savvis, yeah. Savvis is a big curriculum company. They have, we have the Savvis ELA at the high school, 7 through 12. And
Okay.
again, the ELA and special education teachers chose that back when we got it in the fall of, well, we worked on it in the spring of 2023.
Right.
So.
And science?
The science, they got various materials. I couldn't tell you off the top of my head because those are not from like a name brand company that.
McGraw-Hill, all that. That's
Yeah,
something different.
they're not from that. But like Mrs. Orzalak, the department chair for science, she had certain things. I mean, she spoke to her people. We all emailed. We all met. And they looked at different materials. Again, they have to be HQIM, but I couldn't tell you the names of them right now. I could
That's fine.
email that to you, but I don't have them on my tip of my tongue.
It's okay. This is kind of my wheelhouse, so I was trying to get my head around it. Sorry, go on. Thank you.
Well, with that, we're moving on to the Ware Public Schools Spring 2025 MCAS results.
Thank you guys. Thank you guys for having us tonight. I wanted to share just a few pockets from SMK. I know the state has kind of given out these results to everyone, but there are pockets of success you'll see throughout the district. So one of the first ones that I wanted to highlight is the grade 3 ELA scores. So if you look at the exceeding expectations and meeting expectations for starting in 2022, you combine those, you're going to get 25% for 2022 and 23. And then in 2024, we hopped up to 35%, and this last year we hopped up to 40%. So I definitely see a trend upwards, and that is in line with kind of what we're seeing. We've made a few changes to our ELA curriculum, just I would say over the last 2 years, and we're seeing huge results with that. Really consistent, explicit phonics instruction throughout the entire building, and using programs that align with the science of reading, so it's been a really positive outlook for our own assessments that we have. So we're really happy to see that. Ideally, I would like to see a few more kids getting exceeding, of course, but I do think overall the trajectory is positive. So I was really proud to see that. Really excited. This follows along with a little bit more specific data on our ELA. We did have 100% participation, which tends to be a little easier when the kids are younger. Really the only way they're opting out is if a parent specifically tells them they can't take it. So that's a positive. And here I wanted to highlight our average scaled score for this past year was only 2 points away from the state. So that's really good. Oftentimes you're anywhere from 15 to 20 points away from the state in any given year, so that felt super positive. So math is definitely something that we are focused on. You heard Jan talk a little bit about our high-quality math instructions and curriculum, because we really were at a place where our Go math was not meeting the state standards, so it was huge. We had to select something that was. And iReady is a big undertaking. We've had lots of mixed reviews. There's never enough time to teach math, of course. And I feel like in an elementary school, what tends to happen is you focus a lot on ELA, feeling like that's the gateway for them to access all other content areas, because they have to be able to decode and read and understand. So I tend to think sometimes we focus a lot on ELA and then that kind of gets pushed aside. So it's definitely something that's been one of our strategic goals. So this last year at iReady, we did a lot of work with the consultants to try to identify, that first year you're going through iReady with Fidelity, you're not changing anything. So now that we're in the second year, we're still using Fidelity, but really starting to identify what parts of the book are we not getting to because of time, and what parts do we have to make sure to get to for them to access in for next year's grade level curriculum. So So that's something we're going to continue working on. The news here is still positive. Again, if you do what I did with the ELA, where you take exceeding and meeting, and you start in 2022, we were at 20%, then 21, then 27, and now we're at 29. So we are increasing. I'd like to see it grow a little bit more. In both with ELA and math, we had less students in the red category, which is not meeting. We tend to have a bulk of our students in partially meeting, which obviously we want to push that towards those meeting and exceeding at some point. But I definitely was very happy with the overall results. On the next slide, again, this is a little bit more traditional where you see the average scale between the state and us. We're 9 points away. Again, not terrible, but over time I would like to see our math scores continue to improve, and there really be a focus on that. For addressing the challenges, we have lots of challenges at SMK overall. They're aligned to our district strategic plan, so attendance continues to be a focus. Even in elementary school, it is an area that we focus on every day. We're getting on the phones, we're calling, reminding teachers to develop those relationships with students so they want to be at school. It should be a little easier at the younger age because in general they're pretty excited about coming for the most part. We also are celebrating students, so I have on my desk a stack of certificates to give to students that didn't miss a day during the month of September. And there's quite a few. I didn't count. I know we can count it. So I'm going to have to go back and count to see how many, but we get to go in class and we say, like, guess what, surprise visit. You know, these students, if you get your name called, come up and get your certificate, and kids are like, well, I want one, and we're like, oh, well, this is what you have to do. So just having those conversations, letting them know we are watching their attendance, it does help. And then there are days where a parent can't get them there, you know, the kids kind of run and they're kind of like, no, I have to be there, I'm going to get a certificate, or, you know, like they say things like that. So all those little things matter, and I think if we can get them in good habits in the elementary school, it makes the middle school and high school's job a little bit easier down the road. So those are things that we're constantly working on. Student discourse has been a big push over the last few years. Just student voice and encouraging them to talk, question, work together. It really does have an impact on scores. You're talking about kids talking more fluency, using vocabulary, just having to have a conversation, an academic conversation back and forth is huge. So we are really hoping to continue to see growth in that area and be a focus when we're in classrooms. Right now, we meet every 6 to 8 weeks to talk about our intervention data. So we have ELA intervention as well as math. I will say we have right now 2 full-time staff dedicated to the ELA, and right now with math, Ms. Thompson and I share the math interventionist. This has still come a really long way because prior to we didn't always have a math interventionist, so to have someone in the district is huge. I'd like to continue to build that. You know, we have budget talks. We could potentially talk about the idea of having a math interventionist in both buildings. And it's not just to pull kids, it's someone who's diving into the data, noticing things, talking at grade level with different teachers about what he sees. It can be a really great tool to get the right person at the job. So that's definitely something I want to beef up at some point, but we are looking every 6 to 8 weeks at scores that the teacher, full students and teacher scores, and looking to see who needs additional supports. So our goal is to narrow those gaps before they get too big. And that's really the success we're seeing in ELA or not. You know, thanks to those interventions and the instruction that's happening in the classroom. So that's been really nice. And lastly, I touched upon this a bit. We're talking about our iReady alignment and just kind of figuring out where we at the end of last year, what things did we not get to and why? Is it timing? Is it scope and sequence? You know, we have an iReady PD day coming up where there will be a consultant there. So I encourage staff to kind of have their list of questions and things, suggestions, you know, timing wise, like what things can we're going to ensure they get in second grade. So what is okay for first grade? If you're running out of time, what can you move around? And then for third grade, we also talk about fractions and geometry because that tends to be a struggle for students. And so where are those 2 units? Are they more towards the end of the year? Are they after testing? Do we need to relocate them? So those are things that we're constantly talking about as the year goes on.
I can tell you as a former 3rd grade teacher, the geometry unit is like in the middle of the MCAS window. So we ended up doing it was like the week before Christmas, like when things are a little bit crazy, we put together like a unit of some geometry lessons then to kind of get it started, and then we revisited it right before the test. So, because you're right, that geometry unit is the last unit, and we just couldn't get to it before, because, you take the test in May, and you're supposed to teach it from May until June. So, yeah, we ended up throwing it in the week before Christmas and then coming back to it.
That's a great idea. I will make that suggestion to the team. I think they want something like that in writing, like, let's do this. It also is interesting because the fractions in geometry is a struggle for the entire state.
Yes.
Generally, in third grade, those are the scores, the content areas in math that are the most.
Well, if you think about the vocabulary that goes into it, you've got to learn words like quadrilateral and parallelogram, and you've got kids that, like, vocabulary maybe isn't their strongest, and so they're looking at it like, is that a parallelogram? I don't remember what a parallelogram is. So, and it's got that categorization piece to it, like they give you all those shapes, and it's like, which category does it go in? So it's a complicated standard, but it also can be really fun if you put it together in the right way. So, yeah, I'm happy to share some ideas or whatever as a former third grade teacher.
Yes, they would love that.
We're good.
All right, we're going to see if I can advance slides and talk at the same time.
You got this.
It's going to be fantastic. So, we actually at the middle school have already taken a look and noticed the trends. Before the official scores came out, we had access. We're excited that the scores have actually come out to families, because now when we look in a program called Open Architects, it actually breaks it down by student, and we can see exactly where each student has missed, where their struggles are, where their gaps are, where they were really strong. So we've held our own. I know Pam did some fast math over there. In 22, our trends in fourth grade, we had a little increase in the students who were not meeting expectations, and it's something we are going to look a little deeper at. However, we're moving in the right direction, as we have people who were not partially meeting in prior years now have trended there. They're now meeting, and a student last year was exceeding. So we're hoping we're trending in the right direction as far as ELA. One disclaimer that I will put on this for all the ELA across the district. It was identified, and there was a lot of talk in August, it was too late to do anything, but all of the open responses this year were AI scored, which honestly, I've printed all of them. We've gone through it with my 6th grade ELA teacher, my 4th grade, my 5th grade teachers, and we're reading some of these essays. It doesn't make sense to us. They are scored on the conventions of writing. And so that's obvious, capitalization, punctuation. However, some students who scored much higher, we looked at their passages and at what they wrote, and it doesn't make sense to us. So I think districts who identified early could have them scored manually, and it could bump, our numbers could change.
So you think AI was grading too tough?
Mm-hmm.
Not too easy?
No.
Okay.
No, definitely too tough. Or whatever algorithms it was using, whatever program, how it was programmed, wasn't really looking, we haven't quite figured out what it was looking for, but it was tougher than what our kids wrote, because we would have scored it differently. They answered the question, they had context clues, all the information was there. So, I don't know. It's a head scratcher.
I'm going to ask at my school what they thought.
Yeah. A few schools in the Boston area were able to have them rescored manually, but there was a cutoff date. I never saw the date, but this last year we also didn't have access to the writing, the open responses, because of the shift from Pearson to Cognia. Mm-hmm. This is the first year, and we had to go search for them, but we did find them. So anyway, just wanted to put a disclaimer. I think our scores may have looked, I'm not going to say they would have been over the top, but I think they would have trended in a more positive direction. I think they would have trended in a more positive direction with more students meeting expectation and more students partially meeting, is my prediction. Looking. So the average score, we are within striking distance of the state. I think that says, ooh, I need to get my eyes checked. So I think that says 482, and the state average was 493. So we still have some work to do. But again, I do feel like we are trending in a positive direction. And here's our math. 4th grade math. Once again, as Mrs. Iwazinski was saying, you know, we are identifying, we're using a new program last year with the iReady, identifying that it's the same old. Certain lessons are shared at the end of the school year. We didn't want to shift anything in the program because, you know, the try, discuss, connect is the method that we're using in iReady. And so teachers were scrambling, and you will see this throughout as we progress through the grades. And at the end, I'll share just where our struggles were identified. They're in our iReady, all our iReady data. But it makes a difference if we are off our game. You know, fact fluency has been a struggle. I know in 3rd grade it's a struggle, in 5th grade it's a struggle, and that's one of those solid foundations students need to have to be successful with all of the math, along with literacy skills. So again, we were at 483, the state was at 493. We're not missing the mark by a lot. I think we can get there. The staff and I have already been talking. As Pam said, our math interventionist is already pushing into classrooms. He has been since the 2nd week of school. We took old data, old meaning spring data, end of the year, and really looked at our students who were just on the cusp of moving up into partially meeting, into being a good, strong reader as far as the Dibbles data. And they've been taking part in fluency drills, small group interventions for 6 weeks, and we are going to look at that data. We're doing progress monitoring next week, and we're going to rebalance those groups. So we looked at the trends early and tried to get started as early as we could this year. Grade 5, once again, we have a number of students who are partially meeting, and those are the kids that we're really looking at. You know, a lot of them needed 1 or 2 more questions to really move forward and be meeting expectations. So those are our focus right now, making sure that we are looking at those kids, looking at what their gap is, where they missed the mark, and as this data comes out, we're going to really dive in and see what questions they didn't understand. Our average school score, if someone wants to read that. 496 and 494. So we actually exceeded the state in ELA in grade 5. I apologize, my eyes are not seeing all of that. Math, we trended in a more positive, and we've been noticing this throughout the years when we compare 4, 5, and 6. Grade 5 math, those students, I don't know if they've transitioned to the building, they finally are feeling like this is the place that they know, you know, they've come from SMK in 4th grade, it's a big transition. But 5th grade, we tend to balance out a little bit, and they start getting those concepts and demonstrate really what they know. So this has been a trend all along that our 5th grade team is really doing a very nice job presenting lessons, getting kids to accept the information, and they're able to demonstrate it. I will say, I probably shouldn't say this, but I say this to my students, right? We get to MCAS testing, and it's showing what you know on that given day. This really doesn't share all the knowledge they have in their head. Mm-hmm. We have students who are not great test takers. I'm probably one of them. And so really to ease that anxiety, it's showing what you know today. You have to do your best. And if you can walk away and can say that this is what I had today, then you did what you needed to and you accomplished, you showed your best. So we'll talk to kids about this data. We'll show them their scores and we'll talk about it, and we'll discuss the fact that, hey, if you answered one more question, or let's look at your open response. All of the teachers have the open responses, and we're going to go back over them with students to say, what were you thinking when you wrote this? Here's the passage. Because sometimes they think they answered the question. Just because you had 5,000 characters and used them all, you never really got to the answer. We have a number of 6th grade students who they finish like, I used all 5,000 characters. I'm like, what? You did? Oh. But then when we go and look at their scores on those open responses, it doesn't matter how much, the more you write is not really going to get you a better score.
Not quantity.
It's quality.
Yes.
This has been a big conversation in my building right now. Right, it's quality over quantity. Because we had students who scored very well in open response and had a little more than a paragraph because they got right to the point. They demonstrated that they pulled the content that was needed from the actual passage, and they presented it well in less than 1,000 words.
And for whatever it's worth, to have high 5th grade scores is impressive because they've got that whole multiplying and dividing decimals thing going on that loses a lot of kids. So
Yep.
And it's not only that, it's not just the computation, like they have to understand the place value and they have to understand what 1,000th really is. And
Correct.
it's really hard for a lot of kids to understand. So that's an impressive number for 5th grade.
And that foundation starts for us in the middle school in 4th grade. They'll get to the end of the year. They're actually already talking about place value with the program that we're working with. And so it's just building on, and I think they finally understand it when they get to that 5th grade and it's now presented again. They're like, oh, I remember this.
Yes.
How did we do it? And we have a really talented team of math teachers who present information in multiple ways. I'll give Mrs. King, I sat in Mrs. King's math class, and she was teaching, we'll say place value. And after, I went back to her in the afternoon because she did it 3 different ways. You didn't have to do it. You could pick which way fit your learning style best. And I went back after, I said, you should have been my math teacher in 5th grade because it's probably my downfall. So I think that's really important to just identify and address that we are a very diverse group of learners and we can't just present it in one way.
Well, to Ready Math's credit, that's part of their approach, right?
Yes,
so they
yes.
say, okay, we want all these kids in the try it. We want all you guys to try this. And they all write things down and they're like, okay, so let me see how you did it. And they put it up. They're like, okay, we're going to call this Sarah's strategy because that's the kid that presented it.
Right.
And then the next kid goes up and they, well, I got the same answer, but I did it this way. Okay, we're going to call this Jose's strategy. Like, who else did it Jose's way? And they all raise their hands. And it's, to Ready Math's credit, it's a really good way to show kids that there are different ways to get to the same answer. Mm-hmm. It doesn't matter if you line your numbers up vertically, horizontally. It doesn't matter if you use the box method. It doesn't matter what you use, as long as you understand it and as long as you can explain it.
Correct.
And then, if he ends up understanding it better because of the way I did it versus the way he did it, then that's great.
Right. Yeah. So, the math program, I'm hoping will trend in a more positive direction this year now that teachers have a better idea. Just like Pam said, right, this year we are looking at what needs to shift. So in one of the later slides, algebra, the algebra and algebraic thinking happens earlier in the year. It's more in this fall. And now a big part of what they saw in MCAS in the spring, in May, was that. So revisiting and making sure, right, just like you're having to back it up and teach it ahead, we've got to do the same thing. It's already been taught, but now they need a refresher because we've moved so far ahead of that, oh gosh, I have to remember what I did in November. So we're reversing it in the other way, making sure that they're getting a refresher shortly before.
Absolutely.
Oops, wrong button. So the average for us was 492, and the state was 494. So, again, we're trending in a positive direction. And really, that's my bigger takeaway, is just making sure that we are not falling behind, gravely behind the state, that we're right on their heels. Because I do think that we will eventually either meet them or surpass them. And I will say, we are always very pleased with our 5th grade science. It's the first time they take a science test. I think you all know, right, our science curriculum is non-existent in our school. We use a lot of Generation Genius. We supplement in multiple ways to make sure that kids have hands-on experiences with science. And 5th grade never ceases to amaze me because they always do so well when we get to the science portion. It's a credit to our staff, it's a credit to our teachers, it's a credit to our students that, you know, they've paid attention, and science is something they like to explore and experience. So I don't have much more to say about that because they hold their own very well.
Well, I do, as a science teacher.
Go ahead.
As a science teacher, I have experienced many different curriculums, many. And I'm here to tell you that it's my opinion that in science, it is not about the curriculum, it is about the teacher. Mm-hmm. So you could give a great teacher a lousy curriculum and they're still going to do great. You could give a lousy teacher a great curriculum and they're going to do terrible. Mm-hmm. So if you have a science teacher that encourages the hands-on learning, that encourages that inquiry, that really sparks that interest and gets that application to real life that kids just really have an appetite for, they're going to do great. And on a side note, just for people that don't know, MCAS Science is making a shift to these simulations. And so this test that these kids took, one of the days of science, there were a bunch of simulations where they went in. It was almost like a comic book type situation where they had to read dialogue between characters, and then they had to manipulate data in a simulation where they had to change like how many cloudy days there were, how many sunny days there were there, and then see how the plants grew in relation to that, and then answer questions about it. There were a bunch of different ones. There were plant ones, there were a whole bunch of different ones. The Science MCAS is headed in that direction. Eventually, there will be very few multiple choice questions. It'll be all these simulation things where they're, manipulating data, recording data, answering questions about data. It's pretty cool.
And I will share that we worked, we were fortunate, we worked this year, our 5th grade, last year, I apologize, worked with the Hitchcock Center out of Northampton. They wrote an EPA grant. And so our entire 5th grade had 6 visits where they had hands-on. They did watersheds, they did air quality. Megan actually, she was still in my building then. Megan actually worked with Katie, I forget, co-train something, to get that in motion. And then they all went on a field trip and actually got to see how they filter water there, how they use, they're still talking about it. So we were really fortunate. And then they came back and they made air purifiers for all of their classrooms. So it was a great experience for them as well. And I think it contributes to, their love of science, their interest, and motivates them.
Yeah, the Hitchcock Center is great. We did a similar thing with our 3rd graders, so it's a great program.
Yeah. All right, so we are sitting 491 and 495 again, and all of this is just coming from the 2025 data, but so this is last year's 6th grade, and I think as we looked at this data, and we really do need to dive into this because there was a shift here that didn't quite make sense to any of us. We had a really big increase in the partially meeting expectations and an increase in not meeting at all. So as we begin to take this apart, we're going to look specifically at students, how many of these students had support, what supports did they have in place, what do we need to do better? Because, if you're okay, I will skip by this slide, because our 6th grade math also was stagnant. We really didn't have much growth, much change, and it is surprising given that we have a new math program. So this is up for a big discussion with our 6th grade team right now of what actually transpired and where we missed the mark.
I assume you've done this. The 6th graders in 2025 were your 5th graders in 2024. How do those numbers compare?
Ooh, that's a good question. I don't have that off the top of my head, honestly.
Because obviously when you're
Yes.
looking at this graph, these are 4 different groups of kids.
Right.
Versus if you look
Right.
at...
And so we will be looking at those trends. We have not,
Because sometimes you just have a strong class, and sometimes you just
Yeah.
have a weaker class. Like,
Right.
that's just the way it goes.
Yeah.
So I'm just curious if you looked at 5th grade math 2024, and then compared it to 6th grade math 2025, like what are we
2024.
looking at? Can you keep going back to... Yep, more.
oh, sorry,
Almost there, boom.
there we go. So,
Okay.
yeah,
I'm going to write this down. 0,
0,
30, 66, and 15.
Yeah.
All right.
66 or 55?
55.
Oh, 55, sorry.
55.
I've got an angle. I'm going to blame the angle.
All right, we're going back here.
Yeah.
There we go.
All right, so
So-
0 to 1,
Yep,
30 to 27,
yep.
55 to
58.
58, and 15 to 14.
Yeah.
Those are very similar numbers.
Yeah. But no
Improvement
change.
nonetheless.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess I had hoped for more there.
Well, so you're not meeting kids, you lost one, so they obviously probably moved to needs improvement, right? So that's where they went.
Yep.
And then you've got 3 more needs improvements than you did before.
Correct.
I mean, this is assuming we have the same number of students, which is
Right.
probably not exact.
Which is probably not exact.
So that kid that went from the red to the yellow, they're accounted for here.
Mm-hmm.
And then you lost 3 green kids,
Right.
but you gained 1 blue kid. So
Right.
one of your green kids went to blue.
Moved up, yep.
And so, I mean, these are very similar numbers. It's not like they went down.
No,
So you're not seeing, I mean,
throwing
I get what you're saying. I totally get what you're saying, that you want to see improvement.
Right.
But you can't just look year to year, because those are 4 different groups of kids.
no. And our other data point that, again, Open Architects is a data point that we can use, and it really will trend the same group of students.
Yeah.
And so that's a better look for staff and in the building to get that look, so that we can say, look, in 4th grade they did this, in 5th grade they did this. Did they continue that trend up, or did we just kind of flatline?
Yeah.
And why did that happen? So. And again, we were, the school was at 490 and the state was at 495. So addressing the challenges. We continue, and I know, as you heard from the student speaker earlier, attendance is something that we focus on every single day. Attendance is in by 9:30 in the morning. The assistant principal, our school counselor, we're looking at this to see, hey, what's the trend? Who's out? Why? She hasn't been in here in 3 days. What are we doing? Because it really is impacting. If kids aren't in our building, it's impacting their learning. And when we go to assess, if it's a quiz, it's a test, or these bigger assessments, we're noticing a shift, right? They haven't been there for the content. ELA is one of those things where if you are a decent reader, you'll be okay. But math, you missed yesterday's lesson, you weren't here for today's lesson, they each build on each day builds, and you just become lost.
And
it's
the pace of Ready Math is a freight train. Like, it is moving
Yes.
fast.
Absolutely. And so we really are reaching out to families, trying to make sure, why aren't they here, right? Again, they're elementary school kids. Some of them, they don't drive themselves to school. So if they miss a bus, often I'll talk to a student and the next day, like, hey, where were you? Oh, my mom was sleeping, or nobody woke me up, or my mom says I can't leave the house and she was doing something with the baby and I missed the bus and she didn't have the car, right? So there's all of these pieces that are out of their control. But when they're here, we have to make sure that they're welcomed, you know, and they know that it's important for them to be there, and they can continue to move forward. As Pam said earlier, student voice and discourse. We've talked about this a lot for the last few years, but it's really students leading their learning, right? It's important for teachers to know exactly where their kids are. So by starting a discussion that is led by students, you, as a teacher, can hear what your students already know. So you're not reteaching that. You're moving forward. It's your starting point. So we continue to push that throughout the district. Looking at trends, like I said, and targeted interventions. So we were able right from the beginning to use end-of-year data to put some groups together at every grade level to start just working to make sure that they were moving forward. So then our focus after 6 to 8 weeks, we're looking at where they are. So next week will be progress monitoring. And we will use that data to move students in and out of groups to continue, you know, small pockets of just pushing them forward. We've noticed that two things. Mrs. Iwazinski is right when she says the work they've been doing with explicit phonics, you know, all the Heggerty, the U-Fly that they're using, we're seeing it in our fourth graders. They're coming in stronger and stronger. We commented last year that they were a different group of readers and they weren't as low as we had been seeing. This year, your fourth graders are very strong readers. However, this is across my building. With all of that direct instruction for phonics, we're noticing comprehension it's taking a back seat. And so our focus really we need to be focusing on that comprehension piece to bring them up to speed. So, and that's across all grade levels in the building. So that is a focus that we are working with our reading specialists, the literacy specialist that works in Jan's office, and math. When we looked at our data, so geometry and algebra and algebraic thinking are consistently challenging standards. And so we are working with our math interventionist to do some screeners, to get into classrooms, to push in, to work with staff, and to pull small groups. And so we're hoping to change that. And then, as Jan said earlier, HQIM, when students have limited access to high-quality instructional materials, it impacts their ability to develop critical thinking and apply knowledge in meaningful ways. So I am working with Jan and Kathy Adams. We are part of this PRISM 3 grant. We're learning a lot. We also, so part of this grant process is developing a literacy council who's going to work through looking at we're going to identify what our district needs, what makes sense for our students. We are being mindful that SMK also will need ELA curriculum, so we are including members from the elementary school in this council. Our staff also has an opportunity to take part. There's professional development built in. There are 14 modules that they have access to. It's self-paced. It's to make them stronger in their literacy knowledge. It is based off the science of reading and geared towards students in grades 4 through 8. So we are putting all of those pieces together to better our knowledge make sure we're picking curriculum that will support our students in our community. And again, and we're working with an agency to help us kind of prepare and determine what we'll pilot for curriculum and how we will increase our students' impact in the school community. I think that's it. I talked way longer than I thought I was going to, but I think I got it all.
Well, I interrupted you quite a bit, so
No,
it's
you're
probably
okay.
my fault too.
No, any question helps. Any question helps us all understand. So that's not a problem.
And for whatever it's worth with that comprehension piece, I mean, it's the old adage, like learn to read, read to learn. So if they're coming to you with strong phonics and strong reading skills, that comprehension's going to come. The
Yeah.
more they have access to quality literature and materials and, you know, all that. So I'm not worried about that piece at all.
No,
I
I
think it's a
think we
great
just-
focus for you. I'm just saying
Yeah.
that,
I think we need to be intentional about it, though.
yeah.
So
Definitely.
it's just making sure we're being intentional with our instruction.
Can I hit my slide? Do you want me to do this? You want to pass the keyboard to me? Okay. Hi. I am presenting for the high school. I am Megan. I am the assistant principal, one of the assistant principals. And I would be lying if I didn't say when I looked at the scores, I was like, oh dear. However, Mr. Wood and I both looked at it with Ivy Parrots, our other assistant principal, and we did find some bright lights. Even if you look here, we went from 22% in meeting expectations to 32 in English language arts in grade 7. But what I actually started really focusing on was the student growth percentage for each of these tests. And if you'll see, in 2024, we were at a 40. We went up to a 43. It's not a gigantic jump, but it's a jump. In the mean SGP, it's the second from the bottom. And actually, the median SGP went from a 36 to a 40. Go ahead. Not a great graph, but if you go to the next slide, you will see that we did have some growth in student growth. So one of the things we're working on with the department chairs, where are we missing the mark with the kids? Mr. Wood and I are meeting with the department chairs in a week and a half. We're going to really do a deep dive onto the items. What questions are we missing? Where are we missing the kids? But it is heartening at least to see that there is growth. Each student is growing. It's not as much as we'd like to see, but we are growing. Go ahead. Our growth here for the meeting expectations, again, pretty nice little growth, 17 to 36. That's a pretty good jump. Go ahead. And in the student growth, we have 25 to 33. So 8 points in student growth is actually a pretty significant growth. Grade 8 math, it's been a little bit of a pocket of disappointment for a while, I guess is what I'd call it. We are working very heavily with iReady. Mr. Merritt, the interventionist, even though he doesn't technically work in my building, has been coming over a lot, talking with me, talking with the math teachers. How can we get these kids? How are we going to move this needle? Because this is not working. Go ahead. But you will see that, I can't see that, so I'm just going to look at my paper because I can't see the TV from me. You will see that 2024, we were at 36. We went actually down student growth percentage in this one. Yes, sorry, go
It's
ahead.
me again. So by the time kids get to, I realize Ready Math is fairly new. How long have you had it? Okay, so maybe the fatigue is not there that I predicted, but I do know that by the end of 5th grade, the students that I have, they're fairly resistant to sitting on iReady with their headphones on, playing the games and doing the thing. Like, they're kind of aged out of that, so to speak. So I'm curious if you've seen resistance in 7th and 8th graders to sit at their computer and do their MyPath lessons
I don't
on
see a ton of
iReady.
resistance to that.
Okay.
And our teachers really, more than using it that way, they use it as they have it on the view board, and they'll be going through it all as a group lesson.
No, I'm talking about like their MyPath lessons,
Their
the ones that are
MyPath.
tailored to them.
I don't see a ton of it.
Okay.
Today I did, which was the first time I'd seen it with a group that I said, okay guys, we're going to go on iReady today, or I had walked through the classroom. Today I did. But for the most part, I don't normally see it, so I think that that's more of a deep dive for me to get in and say, why yesterday were you guys not all about iReady when the day before you were like, okay, great, let's do iReady. So I think that's more of a deep dive for me. I only joined this building in March too, so
Right.
there's a lot that I'm trying to manage. And Ivy Parrots, our new assistant principal, only joined, I think, 2 weeks ago?
Yeah.
And we're also managing a lot right now, which is fine, we can do it.
No, I totally get it. I'm just saying that I see it in 5th graders, so I can only imagine it being more so in 7th and 8th graders. One suggestion, if you will, that I have is, so they have the My Path where it goes off of, okay, so you did this lesson, you did well, so we moved you to the next one, you did well, we moved you to the next one, you tanked it. So now we're going to give you all these lessons to help you achieve the next lesson. Sometimes kids get really stuck in that, and so there are settings that you can go into, the teachers can go into the settings and either assign different lessons or even just skip them past that one, and then it'll default back to it after a certain period of time goes on.
Right.
So if you've got kids that are stalling out in iReady on their My Path, the teachers can tweak it, and if it's a new program, it's possible they're not completely familiar with how to do that. So that might be worth meeting with your rep and talking about how to shake things up a little bit so that kids aren't becoming stagnant. Because when they see the same material over and over again because you're not passing it, it gets really irritating. Yeah.
And we, like, in our meeting on the 20th with the department chairs, I do want to get a pretty good sense of what kind of, I know what training we got when I was at Kim's building. I want to know exactly what kind of training our teachers here got, because if we need more training, then great, like, let's get in there and get more training.
Yeah.
But that's a great idea, thank you.
No problem.
All right, go ahead. Oh, science. Science. Go to the next one. If you'll notice in the science, grade 8, we did not gain, or didn't show the SGP. We did have a wonderful participation rate, which is nice to see in the high school, because in high school, obviously, they can just not participate, which is great. But we did have small gains. If you see at the top, we had 1% exceeding expectations last year, and this year we have 3. And then in meeting, we went from 22 to 28. Again, very small, but I don't want to overlook those students that did make that gain. Oh, this is the slide that you, okay. So civics, this slide got added a little, I had not seen this one, so I'm sorry about that. Civics, brand new in 2025. So that was a new undergoing for us. Go ahead, let's go. And you'll notice that we had 21% meeting. We had 0% exceeding, which is another disappointment. I'd like to see a few more. But again, we're really going to take a lot of this data and just do a deep dive with the department chairs. What are we missing? Why are we not moving forward with these kids?
Was this pilot, I assume it was piloted by DESE before you were held in account to this?
I actually
Oh, yes.
I don't know. I wasn't there.
It may have been piloted in some districts that were invited to pilot. We
Okay.
were not invited, and nor did we pilot it. So this was literally the first time that anyone had seen this test.
Yeah.
And I kind of question a new test with civics. Not that they're giving it, but I'm just sort of wondering, well, why did you give it to 8th grade? 8th grade already has the science, which most grades don't, just 5, 8, and 10. But in any case, yeah, it was the first time that they'd seen the test, so.
Did
I think
you
this
see
was
it?
sort of like a pilot for us.
Was it a traditional test, like just multiple choice, or was it more interactive? Did you see it?
It
Sorry.
was more like, like an ELA test, kind of where you're reading passages and then pulling the meaning out of them and answering questions and things of that, so.
Boring.
Okay, so ELA, grade 10, went down a little in the meeting, and the exceeding we had none, but if you go to the next one, We did go down in the SGP as well. We had great participation, but this is another one where we need to look at, so I used to be an English teacher, and every year what I would do is I would pull the items. I would pull every single question, where are the kids falling behind, and that's what needs to happen. Again, Mr. Wood and I are going to meet with the department chairs, and we'll be going over, deep diving, where are we missing, what's happening with these kids. And what was super concerning was looking at, like, I'm not going to have you go back, but the English language arts grade 8, where they made such gains, and then they come to grade 10 and they're not. So where are we missing the mark in grade 9 and grade 10? So these kids make their gains.
Again, I just want to say that across the states, something that the state is looking into is a drop in scores across the board in grade 10 overall, and they're wondering if it's like the students who did take the 10th grade MCAS now are saying, I don't need this to graduate anymore, so, click, click, click through it.
Right, and actually, our participation in the grade 10 was lower than all of our other grades this year, so, I mean, we could chalk some of this up to kids saying, well, it doesn't matter anymore, I don't need to take this. But that's not an excuse, so we're going to continue moving forward. Math grade 10, another situation where we went down. We did also go down in the SGP in this one. And again, in science. And there was no SGP here. So the really overall is each one of these tests I want to look at with the department chairs, the people who are the experts on each of these subjects. I can do English, no problem, but the experts with Mr. Orslak, Ms. Orslak, all the people that know exactly what's going on in these classes. What questions are the kids getting stuck on? Where are they not getting to? Are they not getting to it in the classroom? And how do we fix that? Go ahead.
No, I'm good.
Okay,
I'm
good.
just listening.
So addressing challenges. So in aligning with the other buildings, Ms. Arzinski, Ms. Thompson, and I have been talking a lot about building goals. So the family engagement and attendance goals that we've all discussed, we're going to do it in high school as well. It's prioritizing attendance and family engagement as a building-wide focus. By addressing these, we feel that we will get these kids to really engage more in their learning. They'll feel like they're a part of the community. They will actually have a better experience here. So the building-wide goal for the high school this year in professional practice is by June 26th, all teachers and administrators will collaboratively implement a consistent school-wide attendance improvement strategy, focusing on proactive communication. The teachers, I'm going to ask them if they can, I would like to see them reaching out to families more than they're doing. And we made a change this year. One of the roadblocks that they were having to reaching out to families via phone was the phones in the classrooms didn't call out of the building. And so they'd have to find a spot that they could call out. All the phones call out now. So that's gone. And the majority of the teachers I've talked to are ready. They're willing. They want to call their families.
Well, and they don't necessarily want to use their cell phones either, so that's that's good. That's good.
Right. And then additionally, in building relationships, Mr. Slattery had started Students of the Month last year. We are continuing that this year. I sent out a request to all the teachers to ask if they could nominate kids. That is super important. And I actually was hoping I was going to have a picture for you guys today, but Miss Parrots was out, and so I didn't want to take a picture without her. So we're going to take it tomorrow, and I'll send it to you guys. But each kid that's getting a Student of the Month certificate is also going to know which teacher nominated them and why. So they can use that momentum, that feel good to kind of move forward and engage in school more and feel more of a connection with the community. So I have a couple notes I wanted to go over. We have more counseling assistants in the building now than ever, which is fantastic. I have the counselors having groups with the 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, all of them, to find out what's going on. Why are you not coming to school? Miss Jock, one of our counselors, created a fantastic survey for kids. You're out 3 days. Let's fill out the survey. Why are you out? So we can find out things. Is it a ride situation? Is it, I was home taking care of my little brother? We need to know those things so we can really help these kids out. We created an advisory for the 7th and 8th graders, which is 20 minutes in the morning, for them to have almost like a landing spot. How can they start their day better than just going straight into class? What can they do? This is a great time for SEL lessons for the counselors. This is a great time for interventions, a great time for checking in with their teachers. Mr. Wood, we talked about getting our teachers in the 7th and 8th grade on that PRISM 3 to learn all that stuff, getting our teachers to know what are these younger grades doing. And I actually was approached by some of our younger students. It was a 7th grader. So we have a student council for 9 to 12, right? Well, our 7th and 8th graders, they're not allowed to join that, but they want to make the school better. They want to make it a more of a community. So I had some 7th graders approach me asking if they could start a junior high student council, which, you know, again, it's all about community with these kids. So that's what we're working on.
That's
Any
awesome.
questions?
That's awesome.
So as just a snapshot, we have, the state measures us towards improvement targets, each district. So this is just a snapshot without getting into too many different slides or too much different data on improvement targets, how each of these districts in our area has worked on their improvement targets. So you can see that, you know, there are districts that have gone up and down. It appears that in 2025, everyone seems to have gone down, if you see across there. But when you see the percent of progress towards our goals, where it gained about 10 percentage points in progress, which I believe is more than any of the other districts. So again, that could indicate that we had more to gain, but we have gained 10 percentage points. So that 10, even less than 10, is considered significant. So although in some places, you know, we have areas that we are concerned about and everyone is making plans to address those, but we are making gains towards our targets. Questions?
I used up my quota.
That's all right, keep going if you have to.
No, I'm good.
Because when you ask a question, we all learn from it. It's not just one person, we all learn from it. We all learn from everything. So we're good. Thank you very
all.
much.
Thank you all.
Yes, thank
Did a
you.
Very
great job.
informative, thank you.
And I would just add that the school profile, which is open and available to the public, is, you know, all this data is available there as well for parents and community members to look at. It's very informative. We can dive deeper into certain areas. They have something called subgroups, which can get a little bit tender, but you know, I think that we do have to look at all of our different ways to group our students and to understand how they're performing. And as Jen pointed out, our overall growth piece, as they measure it and how they measure it, is positive, that we are making growth. There's a few small areas where we're not, but overall, the district was making growth. Our starting point might not be where we want it to be, but overall, we're making growth, and that's the important thing to keep in mind, because that's where you get your energy from. What we're doing is making things happen in the right direction, is the point that I want to make. So that's all good news.
CTE policy.
Yes, this would be our second reading. This is a policy that came out of some work that Mel did originally in drafting it, and then I took it to our little round table of superintendents, and we did some work. This is actually a culmination of work that Granby did specifically, and so it's there for your reading. This is something we have to submit to the state by November 1st. So this can be a reading, and you can dig deep in it. The DESE would like this. Essentially, again, it's the career technical education pathway policy. It's for essentially middle school to be introducing the language of, again, kids talking about options that they might have when they graduate, and to start those conversations as early as 6th grade. So you'll see that the policy talks about 6th grade because that's where DESE talks about. And then the sort of this midway down, a little bit lower, I have the procedures about how we're going to do that. And for us, because we're 7 through 12, it talks about being 7 through 12. That doesn't mean that we won't start some conversations with guidance counselors in middle school, in 6th grade, and really have, start some conversations and do some work there. We'll plan that work so that it's connected, and it's 6 through 8. But the procedures that we're talking about that involve kids actually going to pathways will be a grade 8 class. They'll do a visit, the way I've written this out. They'll come over, Pathfinder will come over, they'll do a presentation. We'll have our 7th and 8th graders go to it. I wouldn't necessarily bring our 6th graders to that, just so they have some information. This gets us to, again, clarify. This all comes out of, by the way, work that the previous commissioner did with our vocational schools around the Commonwealth, to start to open up some seats in the vocational schools, because of out of necessity, they had to, over the last 20 years, really attract more and more students who could do well on MCAS. So they developed programming that was really state of the art. Biotech, tech engineering, all of the areas that comprehensive high schools could have too, but not necessarily at the vocational level. And so there's been, some rub between municipal school districts and vocational school districts in that, we're struggling for the same group of kids to stay in our schools, right? We want all kids to be here. So this is part of a compromise, I think, that they worked out in the new regs for vocational schools. Vocational schools now do have to do a lottery, which I believe that they're not very happy about. But at the same time, we have to take on the idea of introducing that there are these things called vocational schools, and they're out there. Because many municipal school systems, regional school systems, stopped inviting vocational schools in to do any kind of visits. They just stopped it. And some, I know, started having to do Saturday, what they do on a week, a school day in this area, in the eastern part of the state, they were having to do on Saturdays because...
Well, it's essentially like Coca-Cola inviting Pepsi to come do a presentation at their plant.
Yeah.
Like,
right. Come look at what we're doing.
That's pretty much what it is. We all want the same students.
Right.
It's just a matter of making sure that, based on student interest and student passions, that they end up in the right place.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
You can't expect everybody to be in the same place. So I totally get the gist behind this, and I feel like it's incredibly important to have this CTE as an option.
100%.
Because, college is not for everyone.
Exactly.
So that alternative is huge.
Right.
My only feedback on this is, I know on the DESI website, on the MyCap, there's like a MyCap for students, MyCap for parents, MyCap for teachers. I would like some kind of wording in here about parent outreach, and maybe having like one session where like families can come and do the MyCap for parents section.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Just something in there about including families to just to make sure, because not every parent knows
Right.
about this.
Right.
Because if you like from my family and the parents didn't go to college, I'm the first person in my entire family to ever go to college. So like my parents didn't go to college, so they couldn't help me out that way. But I mean, I don't know. I just think that it hurts no one and helps everyone to have an opportunity for a conversation between families and schools about this MyCap. And it's very well written on the DESI website. It's very well laid out. So I think just a conversation with families about this thing called MyCap, where you have a conversation with your student about what do you plan on doing when you're done with high school? Because sometimes that conversation doesn't happen organically. So if we can help that out, that'd be great.
Put that in there, absolutely.
So do we want to read this tonight? It'll be our first reading, and then the next meeting,
Vote on it. There'll be plenty
vote
of
on
time.
it at the next meeting with the additions to,
Yep.
which I'm assuming the additions would be probably on the last page under the MyCap, scope and consequences by grade level.
Yep.
Are you saying you're going to read this whole thing?
Yeah, this won't take long.
Oh, geez. Okay.
Read evaluations,
I'm-
which took forever.
I'm gonna go to the bathroom while you read it.
This is easy.
Oh, do you read them out loud?
Seriously, this is easy.
Are we doing it tonight or after he makes the corrections and adds the stuff to it?
Well, what we'll do is we'll read it tonight. He can make the corrections and tell us what corrections he made, and then we can just vote on it the next meeting.
Okay.
We won't reread it the next meeting.
Is that your practice, to actually read the policy out loud?
Usually.
Oh, it is? Okay. Is that for our audience's benefit? Is that what you're trying to do?
Yes.
Because we can post the policy so that parents and everybody can read it?
Yeah, I think
We can do that.
Sufficient.
Yeah.
We can
Yeah.
do that, and then just highlight, if we could highlight the additions.
Sure. Well, this is all
for the
brand
next-
new. We don't have
this is a
any
brand new
policy. This is a
policy.
brand new policy.
Right, but,
When I make the change about the parents.
yeah,
piece,
just point out
Sure.
where it is in here, and if there are any other changes, but I think that's the only change we have to make.
Okay.
Because I looked at it, I read it, and I thought it was
Yeah, I read through
perfect.
it
It was
too.
right on target, and so I'm good with that. We can do it for the next meeting, and we'll meet the deadline, and probably something that should have been done a long time ago, but we're doing now.
That's right.
We've always been sort of us against them when it comes to Pathfinder, so I can understand that. But we have to share the world, so.
Exactly.
And it's a very good school to go to.
Absolutely.
We can't keep,
And there are things that we can do and offer and have started. We just need to,
Right.
around CTE, in terms of like, we offer a CNA program and the biotech, no, bio,
Business,
we're offering business,
and then the manufacturing.
manufacturing. So we can, take a look at some other options. And again, to my earlier point about the teacher pipeline, it's all about trying to find a teacher that will stay with us to be able to keep those programs viable.
well, in the
viable.
past, that's a problem we've had with, say, languages.
Yeah,
that,
exactly.
It's very difficult to find a language teacher, and
Yeah.
why we stopped even though it's, not a lot of people take it French. We stopped French years ago because it was just finding a teacher and having someone that could do it, so.
Yes, absolutely.
I totally understand that.
Yep. Okay.
Do I tell Mel we're all done reading it and we can?
Yeah, we're all done.
We're going to post it on the
Sounds good.
website
Great.
as a proposed draft.
We're going to, he's going to make the changes. We'll highlight it at the next meeting, and he'll post it, and we'll vote on it, and we'll meet the deadline, and we'll be good.
Great.
Because I read it, I liked it, and I believe everybody else, I don't know if you have.
Yes.
And I thought it was perfect.
I agree.
So, moving on to my cap.
So, again, this is guidance that DESE is offering us. This is something that, again, it would be good to have a vote from the school committee because that shows your endorsement and support of it. But it is essentially working with students to develop their career and academic plan. And again, it's process. It's about kids paying attention to thinking about the future, which is very difficult to do when you're a sixth grader. Certainly, they don't know. But you want to begin to have those kinds of conversations about what are some of the options and what's out there, and how would if you're thinking about becoming a mathematician, what kinds of courses should you be taking in high school to make sure that you are taking all the upper level math courses to be able to be prepared for college if that's the direction you're going to go with that kind of interest. So this outlines that conversation and ideas about that. And in that middle section it talks about engagement, attendance, goal setting, understanding the connection between where and when they have to learn the various components of their role. I remember a presentation years ago from a presenter who was talking about aspirations, and he said, we used to go into schools and talk about aspirations, and you talk to somebody who said, well, I want to become a baseball player. And professional baseball player, and so he started asking questions. He said, "Do you play baseball now for any of your, if your high school team?" No. Do you think that might be a place to start? I mean, those are some of the basic kinds of conversations that kids need to think about. You got to be playing baseball somewhere, somehow. You've got to start building skills, so this is a very formal way. Again, to your point about families. Sometimes there are situations where if you are the first child that's even thinking about college in your family, then your whole family needs to have conversations about how do you pay for college? How do you start looking for college? How do you make sure that you're looking at the right schools for what you think you're going to want to do? All of that, and not feel intimidated by it, right? A lot of families get turned off right away because of the financial situation. But when they start to think about, the tuition is actually the cheaper part of college today. It's room and board that's the most expensive part. So maybe if you stay at home for those 4 years, you can afford to go to school because tuition is less expensive than room and board. Or, however they want to start those kinds of conversations.
Or you don't have to do the traditional 4 years. You can go to HCC for 2 years and then transfer to a school.
Absolutely.
And so I just feel like all of those conversations are so vital because people think to themselves, well, I'm not going to go to college because I don't want the debt.
Right.
Fair.
Yep.
But there are ways to minimize that debt. And there are, especially now where like a lot of our community colleges are offering tuition free. So we just need to make sure that we have every possible piece of information out there for our families to make sure they figure out what's going to work for them.
Absolutely. And because of that, a piece of that is that you can transfer two-year colleges to some of the most prestigious four-year colleges. So it's not just necessarily, I'm a product of state schools. It's not just, two-year colleges to another state school. You can transfer two-year colleges to WPI. They will take it. they will do it. If your courses are the right courses and your performance is right, they will look at you. So, those are things that, you're absolutely right. I mean, that's a very inexpensive way to
It took me
start the
5 years
process.
to get through the community college because I was paying it for myself. I was working full-time. It took me 5 years to get my associate's degree, but then I transferred to one of the best liberal arts colleges with the best education programs in the entire state of Utah. So, I mean, it doesn't matter how you get there. Everybody can get there a different way.
Exactly.
But the problem is, I feel like sometimes it can be so daunting,
Yes.
especially if it's unfamiliar to anyone that's around you,
Right.
that we just need to make sure that we are there as a source of information for families and students to let them know, this is possible, even if you have to take a less traditional route to get where you want to be.
Right. And today, more than anything, I think less traditional is really more traditional.
Agreed.
You just, a 5-year plan is just as good as a 4-year plan, whatever. So, definitely. So the MyCap kind of outlines that and our commitment toward making sure that those conversations take place. And again, we'll make an emphasis on including the parents in that process as well. And this can be considered your first reading, and you could vote on that at our next meeting so that we are committed to doing that.
How much of this is just from the DESE website?
This is all from DESE.
Yeah.
I haven't done anything.
This is just from the DESE website?
Yeah.
Cool. Thank you.
So who's in charge of making this happen?
In our school?
What is
or
in our school is making this happen?
Well, we'll have that conversation, but I would see this as the principals and guidance in the middle school and the high school to have that conversation about who's going to do what.
Okay.
Yeah. And again, because we do have some of those programs already, I would want to involve those teachers because, I know that our teacher who teaches business here is very energetic and really is an advocate for kids to learn finance and personal finance. And so, he would be a great person to have kids listen to and parents listen to about learning more about personal finance, for example, as a pathway.
Yeah.
Any more questions, comments? Student handbook.
Yes, and I offer you an apology here. I should have asked better questions around what steps have already been in process on this, but I sent to you the email that should be the complete document, so you have it electronically. I went to try to print it off, but it's 92 pages long, so I don't want to waste that kind of paper for this piece, because you do have it electronically. We're going to go through it again as a team, just to make sure that we hit everything, because, again, going through it probably, third or fourth time for Dr. Coleman, there are questions about from processes that we need to maybe talk about and make sure that we're clear on. Are they happening, or are these remnants of something that's gone by? Things like that, that I think would be good, and certainly for me, informative. But each of the principals has now gone through it and made their edits. Our attorney has gone through it. We're all set for Title IX, Title VI. Obviously, Dr. Coleman did all the special ed review piece and 504 piece, so that's up to date. Made some corrections on some basic things like numbers and things like that, phone numbers that were changed or whatever over the past time. I don't know when the last, that's their floor machine.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah.
What is it?
Someone was in the parking lot doing something.
So if you want to read that and give feedback over the next 2 weeks before we bring it back, we'll be meeting as an admin team to go over this. And
The handbooks, we only have to vote on it once.
Yeah.
yes. Yeah, they're all, it's 92 pages because it's everybody.
Yeah.
I was just going to ask that.
Yes.
It's all three schools, okay.
Yeah.
Do we want to talk about the athletic handbook before we move on? There are only a couple sections we have to discuss.
Let's talk about the athletic handbook.
Okay. Do you mind if I scroll, just because I'm...
You know where you want to go?
Thank you. It's just going to be easier if I do it. That way I'm not... Go up, go down. All right, cool, thank you. All right, so I'm just going to scroll down till I see... So you see notes on the side here that are from Frank Bateman. He
Yes.
basically just noted when he pulled something directly from the MIAA site. So those are the notes you see on the side there.
Are we keeping those?
No, when we do the final draft, that'll all be
Okay.
gone, because basically every, I stopped scrolling. Oh boy, here we go. Basically, he's just saying like the section of the MIAA, and then it was pulled directly into here, so
Okay,
we don't need the notes once we approve it.
okay.
Do you want the citation that it is from the MIA?
We'll probably put that in there, yeah.
I
Okay.
think the citation would be important, yeah.
Yeah, that would be
Yeah.
sufficient, and rather than the whole thing, just putting the citation. I agree.
Okay, so currently in the athletic handbook, this is just where, this is not the MIAA. So there's a note here that says WPS, where public school employees receive free admission to all regular season events, which is fine. But I think it's worth noting that families have put a considerable amount of time, effort, and money into having their students play on these teams. And so I wanted to know if this committee would entertain the idea that a player could have their parents come and watch and not have to pay the admission fee for a home game. Just wanted to throw that out there.
I just want to back up a second.
Go
May I
ahead.
ask a question?
Go ahead.
Does he still sell those like cards, like there's like a pass, like a punch card?
No idea.
You know, I just remembered buying one of those little punch cards, you know, and you got so many per.
No idea.
We tried to talk about too in the past, doing like a season pass,
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
like a season pass?
but that
for a
was,
discounted rate? That's a
it was
great
not
idea.
accepted.
I love that idea.
It's a great
And it's
idea.
Cheaper, like $20 for the season and you're done instead of like 2 to 5 a game, 3 to 5 a game.
Yeah, just for home games.
Yeah.
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 I guess my question is, WPS employees, does that include, is that just the employee, like the custodian or the teacher that works here, or does that also include a spouse or partner, or,
No.
No, it doesn't.
so it's
include the
just applies to the person that actually works in the buildings?
Correct.
Okay.
So it was just a thought, it was just something I wanted to throw out there. If we want to, we could even take this out, like Springfield, like where public school employees don't get free admission. Like it was there, it's worth a discussion. What do you all think?
I think it's there because it's important for the employees, per se, these students, teachers, and peers to be able to come in and watch them.
Okay.
I'm not sure if we removed it, if that would be as enticing for them to come and show up for the student athletes. I know it means a lot to the student athletes when their teachers and people do come, so.
Great, so leave it in. Do we
I
want to
think
put
it's
anything
important.
in about families? And allowing one parent or two parents, not siblings, just like one parent or two parents to get in for free to
I
an
think
event?
you want to offer it to one parent, you should offer it to two.
Okay.
But
Only
then some
because-
kids don't have two parents, some kids just
And
have family
it gets
members.
messy, like some people live with a
Yes.
grandparent, so it's like, it does get messy and it's not easy to just type it in. I get that. So if we want to leave it as is, we can leave it as is. I'm fine with that. It was just something I
Can we
wanted to bring up.
revisit doing a season pass for people?
Does that have to be in the athletic handbook, or is that something that we could throw in later?
I love that.
I would assume it would have to be in there since it has to do with.
All right, let's add it in. Here we go. I'm ready.
I think it should be per sport season. I mean, this really is not my wheelhouse for like Mr.
Or do you
Bateman
want to
or
make
that-
it a season pass for
Maybe there's two
all
options.
sports and make it for the whole year? Is that not a season pass? That's more like a year pass?
Well, some students only play one season, some students are
Yeah.
three-season athletes, so, I mean, what if there were two available options? Like, if you did have a three-season sport,
Right.
we should calculate what the cost of that would be if they did attend every game, and then offer it at a reduced rate. So,
Right.
like, if you paid and went to every game, this would be the total that we're offering.
Yeah.
So we have a season pass and then we have a year pass. So if you have a year pass and say they play 3 sports, you know,
Right, then someone would be more acclimated to going to the year pass.
well, then and then it would cover the fact that you could go to fall, winter, and spring. as opposed to season pass, if you only have a child that is, say, plays basketball or just plays football
Okay.
or even baseball.
Season
I-
slash
Or any
year
other
passes
sport,
will
soccer
be
or whatever
offered
sports we have.
to.
I think this whole concept is amazing to revisit, and it's been long overdue, if you ask my personal opinion on it, but I do think it's super important to involve our athletic director.
Yeah, I'm thinking the same thing.
Because his input, I think, is going to be extremely valuable and might have some different points of view on it, but I do think it's something that should be visited before we complete this.
I know we talked about it
Athletic
a long
handbook.
time ago.
Yes.
And it's just sort of
Nobody
fell by
liked
the
our
wayside.
idea back then,
It fell by the wayside.
but I still think it's important.
Well, I think part of
So,
it,
we have to remember, we don't have to pay for every sport that people attend, so I've never paid to go to a softball game.
Right.
Here or away.
Right.
Baseball, I've paid at some venues, but not.
You don't
yeah,
pay
it
for home
isn't all
games here.
sports.
Right?
That's
We
true.
don't have games here, but football we pay for. I'm trying
And
to
soccer,
think. Soccer
volleyball.
we pay for, volleyball we pay for,
I'm not
basketball we pay
basketball.
for.
Yeah.
So is the only sport that is, what about golf? I honestly have never heard of that.
I don't believe that, no.
But
I don't
there's-
believe
would there
people
be no
actually
fee?
get to go and follow them along the course. I don't know. I've never been involved with golf.
I don't think Cold Springs allows spectators.
No.
Yeah,
they
to, right,
don't.
to join,
No.
right? It's just the team itself. But I do think this is a very pertinent idea. I would love to see it back on here, but I also think we need
100%.
further information and detail from
What
our
he
athletic
thinks.
director.
Well, basically what we're doing here is we're saying this is what we like. So we vote on it and we say, yes, we like this. Then it gets sent out to the athletic director, Dr. Coleman, Mr. Wood, the attorney, to all of us. It gets sent out to all of us. And then once we get feedback from those people, then if nothing changed, then we've already voted and we're done. And if something changes, we just vote on the change. So if you like this and you're prepared to vote yes on this, then we'll leave it and then we'll go from there.
I love that
Great.
and have wanted that for a very long time.
I love that. All right. Just looking for my next highlighted / red section. Hold, please. What was that? I thought this was a strange note here. So if you go up to chain of communication and conflict resolution, it talks about open communication being successful. It talks about how you start with the player and the coach, and then the player and a caregiver and a coach, and so on. And then there's this note right here that says, important, do not approach coaches before, during, or immediately after practice or a game. Please wait 24 hours before initiating contact. 24 hours from what?
I think, on my point of view, that this is from a situation where maybe a parent is upset, or there has been something that has
They're on the sidelines and they approach
that
someone.
a parent to want to go directly to the coach, so I think they're asking to give it a 24-hour time period for there to be a calm down or timeout period per se to maybe think before actions are taken, but that's how I took it.
Okay, so open communication is essential. Students are expected to voice questions or concerns directly and respectfully through the following process. So this is saying that the students are to initiate contact.
Yep.
So if I am a student and I don't like what my coach did
Yeah.
or said, I wait 24 hours, and then I send an email? Because the only time I'm going to see my coach is at practices or games.
You're right, I don't understand how that fits in that perspective. I was
So-
thinking it in a totally different,
When
point of
it antes up to like the caregiver and other people getting involved.
right.
I think
Right.
that's the 24 hours, to me, would be applying to them as opposed to, like, if you have a game on at 6:30 at night and then the next day coach calls a practice because, you lost and then it's not 24 hours. What, do you have to wait until another practice
Yeah.
to approach him or his
So,
office?
I agree with
How
you.
enforceable is that, really?
I know.
You know,
So
like-
Yeah.
we can
Yeah, we're
either,
saying approach, but then we're saying wait 24 hours.
so I am suggesting that we either delete this.
Yeah.
Delete it.
Okay, great. I love
100%.
that. Okay,
Yeah.
it's gone.
That didn't make any sense.
Okay.
I think the concept is there, but it's not. If you
It's
want
not
people to be
enforceable,
open
it's not-
and be
yeah.
approachable, then you can't say, well, you got to wait 24 hours, and, oh, by the way, it's only 23 hours.
Right. This is highlighted. It says that the administration will ensure that daily attendance is submitted to each coach between 1 p.m. and 1:30 p.m. or just prior to dismissal or half/day early release days, ensuring that the coach will have accurate attendance information. My only question on this is some coaches are employees at the school and very easy to shoot off an inter-office email versus coaches that are not teachers in school. I just don't know who does
have that
this.
information.
And is it like a blast email? Like, so I have a list of all the emails of all the coaches, whether they work in the school or not, and I just hit one button and it sends all of the attendance to all of them, which might be a privacy issue. Or
Big
does
issue.
someone have to go through and be like, okay, these are all the soccer kids, I'm going to send them to this coach. These are all the basketball kids, I'm going to send them to this coach. These are all the golf kids, I'm going to send them to this coach.
Would the athletic director do this?
Yeah, that's my question. Like, who is doing this? It says the administration will do it. I don't know if the athletic director is considered administration.
I don't know if he's considered administration, but I think this would fall in line with what
I mean,
the athletic director.
he's not here during the day to be able to get that information, so that would be
Right, so
difficult.
that was my only question. So who is doing this? How is it sent out? How do we know that it's accurate?
That's a real challenge.
Has this ever actually been done?
I don't know the answer to that. I have my suspicions, but
I'm just asking because.
And then how much time do you really want your administration committing to double checking whether or not a student is on this list and what sports they play? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
This seems like a very time-consuming task.
Well, it goes...
That if you're going to hold somebody accountable to, then you got to be sure it's going to be able.
Well, it lends itself to this daily attendance policy, which is the next thing we have to discuss. So basically, the gist of this is saying if they don't come to school, they can't play. This is a suggested list of exceptions that we'll go over in a second. But to all of this end, if it's not reported to the coach,
It's not any good.
it's not any good. So I wanted to talk about the highlighted section before we moved up and talked about the other section.
I think I'd need to have a conversation with the assistant principals and see how it could be managed. Because off the top of my head, I'm thinking about the end of the day and trying to, I mean, it could easily be, I could picture having an Excel spreadsheet. We're only running 2 or 3 teams per season.
Per season, right.
And somebody quickly going through it and seeing who might be absent. So I don't think this is a time issue. It's just a question of who could do it.
Who's going to do it?
And how much the computer can do it for you, because I don't know if is it possible in your attendance software that you use to flag certain students as volleyball players and then run a report, attendance of all volleyball players, boom, there it is.
That's a great question. I don't think it is because it's an antiquated software that hasn't had that kind of level of updates, but again, it might, I need to ask that question. I need to talk to Michael Brown about that.
So, to that end, do we want to leave this wording as it is, that there needs to be some form of communication?
Well, I think we need further information.
Yeah.
Yeah, until we figure
So
out
we're going to
who's
leave it
gonna be
as it is
doing
right
this.
now?
Pending.
Okay.
Right.
So
That
that
needs to be
brings us,
clarified.
that brings us up to here, which I am going to zoom in on this because I want to make, this is like the most important thing we're going to talk about. Okay. So student athletes are expected to be on time for school and present for the entire school day in order to participate in athletics. Excused absences are allowed, as listed below, as long as they allow the student athlete to, as a minimum, be present in the school for at least 1/2 of that day's scheduled time. That is a contradiction. They need to be there all the time, except for when they don't have to be there all the time. So we need to fix that. And then it gives specific hours, and it says, if the event is a non-school day, the student athlete must be present on the day prior to the event. So a Saturday game, they need to be there on a Friday. excused absences include, and then there's a list. So before we get to the list, what do we want to do about this? Like, I think we should just delete this and say, except for the prior day thing, student athletes are expected to be on time for school and present for the entire day in order to participate in athletics, and then include, if the event is on a non-school day, the student athlete must be present on the day prior. I suggest we take out this.
But what happens if
People
they're
are going to want to know
not?
that.
Yeah.
What?
People are going to want to know that, what's considered excused.
Well, that's
in
the
sense
list.
of-
That's the list
No,
below.
no, I meant like, and how much time it's required for them to be there,
The entire school day, right there, entire school day.
unless they're excused. So if they have an excused absence, they don't have to come to school that day?
No.
That doesn't make sense.
What's an excused We're going
I'm
to talk about that in a
saying-
second.
Like I'm saying,
Because a
like,
parent note is not an excused absence.
No, it's not, and we're going to go over that list in a second, but,
right.
Well, we
Do-
just, at the bottom, you say excused absence include.
right, there's a list that
Valid
we're going to
must
go
be
over that.
with a parent note. So parent note is
Well,
not.
that's got to take out then.
Right.
Well, yeah, we could change the wording of this when we get to the list. But,
Okay.
so my only question is to this, do we want to take this out and just say, be there the whole day? And then we can talk about the exceptions below.
I would concur with that.
But don't you need to reference that excuses are allowed?
Well, hang on, let me do,
I mean, we're expecting the whole day, but we're going to allow excuses, excused
Well-
absences?
sort
Well,
of.
what if they came in late? Like, they had a dentist appointment in the morning.
Right,
And
so-
then they came to school late because they just got a filling. Is that what your reference?
Right, so medical appointments verified by physician's note. Fine. You had a dentist appointment, you're here at 9:30, no harm, no foul, right? Attendance at a wake or funeral, that gets dicey. So I don't know if you want to leave that in there. I crossed out family emergency because that is wholly subjective, and I don't think it should be in there. You can, work study or other school business that takes place off school grounds. Obviously, if you are doing, I don't know how much work study we do. Do we do work studies?
Yeah, we're
do
doing more.
externships.
Great.
Externships.
A major religious observance, obviously, right? If you are a specific religion and that religion has a specific holiday, you are excused from school. Legal issues, I wasn't sure what that meant, like if you had a court date. I think if we want to leave that in,
I would leave it in.
it should say court appearance, not legal issues.
Well, it could
It's pretty
be.
ambiguous. Legal
going
issues
to-
are.
Legal issues is
I
like,
was arrested
They could be
earlier,
going
but
to
I got bailed
probation, they
out,
could
now
be
I'm
going
here
to
for
several
Yes.
different places.
You know, like,
that have
yeah.
to-
so do we want to change this?
I would leave it legal, only because you have, not just a court date, you have probation, you have court,
So if we
court
said,
assigns certain things
what
that
if
have to
we
be
said
done.
legal obligation instead of issue?
Obligations is better than
Sure.
issues.
Plus it sounds nicer.
Yes.
Okay. And then I took this out as determined by the principal after receiving written note from the parent or guardian. That is not, that's subjective and, yeah. The principal or his/her designee during his/her absent will make a decision for any situation not covered. I took that out as well.
Yeah, because that could be subjective.
Yes. Okay. Is there anything we want to add to this? Sorry, we need to talk about this. We could add for immediate family member. We could write for household member. Because
I
obviously.
really don't want to label it, to be honest with you.
Yeah,
In
what
today's-
happens if you have a grandmother that you were close to that raised you? That's, do you
Or
consider,
somebody.
who considers that to be an immediate? Or you have an uncle who raised
Football
you?
practice shouldn't be important on that day.
Great.
I'm
Right.
gonna assume.
I agree. So, do we want to put, like this says verified by physician's note? Like, do we want some kind of verification, or are we just going to go with it?
Do they walk in with the obituary?
I don't know,
mean-
like the little pamphlet from the funeral thing? I don't know.
For staff.
Yeah.
I think that one there is like,
It's a little too
I don't want to
touchy?
say it's a gimme, but that one, you do have to, I'd probably have some sort of trust or have some sort of, I mean, it's pretty bad if someone says, well, I was at a funeral and they really weren't. That is
Okay,
pretty bad.
That's fair. Okay,
That's one of those tough
Great.
ones to talk to.
okay. So we're going to leave this highlighted because we need to know how that's going to work. But everything else here, we feel good about, yes?
I'm still only concerned about the time thing. Just for example, there's a student athlete that has some injury that they had and they're on recovery and on their way back, and say their specialist is in Boston. You're going to tell that person after they went out there and had their meeting with an orthopedic?
No, it's right here.
In Boston.
Medical appointment verified by physicians, no.
So if they go to Boston, they're not making it for the whole day.
Right,
They're only
because-
going to be here for an hour or two
Right,
of the
but
school
they
day.
have a medical appointment verified by a physician's
that's
note.
okay.
They're fine.
That's
So if they
fine.
weren't here at all,
Then I'm
that would
fine.
cover it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They could
fine.
miss the entire day because they were in Boston.
That's
Okay.
fine.
They
Okay.
come back with a note saying, I was in Boston all day,
Okay,
they're fine.
then that's fine. I think that covers,
Great, I
That
love
covers
that.
the time thing.
So would we want to make sure that this athletic policy, if we're talking about this for sports, that it
You got the
would
microphone in front of you,
align with our
just in case?
extracurricular activities, if there's a dance in the evening?
I think that's a
using
great
Yes.
apply, so we would just want to make sure we have some kind of
100%.
through line,
Mm-hmm.
is what I'm.
Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure. That's a good idea. All right, I think we hit most of them. I'm not sure there's a lot left. Hold on. Oh, yeah, I didn't know what this was about. Vacations. Athletes are expected to remain committed to their team during school vacations, even if games are scheduled. Absences can significantly affect the team's chances at league or state championships. What the heck is this?
Well, if your family goes to Disney World,
Yeah.
guess what? You're not going because you've got a game
Oh,
there.
personal vacations,
what I'm
not
saying?
school
Is that what I'm reading?
vacations.
That's right.
no, this
Yeah.
is like.
I was
people
reading this as
taking their
school
children on
vacation.
Vacations. Yeah.
Yeah.
It
I think
specifically
it's
says
both.
school.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm not
There's both.
crazy.
No, there's both. So if you do that Disney vacation the week before the school vacation, and there are competitions or practices, then, you know, it's expected that they've made arrangements that you're going to be here.
Okay, how do we make this more clear?
One thing of note that I remember when reading through the handbooks, because.
Do me a
you
favor,
know, it's-
pull the mic towards you. Use it, so that it gets picked up. Thank you.
Just make sure it's on.
Is it? Okay.
Is that participation in sports and all extracurricular is listed in our handbook with the amount of time, and there is a number that's listed. If they've been absent more than, I think, 5 to 7 days, then they are not allowed to participate in anything beyond the school day. So that is something where we would want to make sure that that aligned too, especially if you're talking about a vacation, because 1 week of vacation could eliminate them from any extracurricular anyhow.
Does
because
this
that
talk
is, I
about the
believe, in
number
our
of
handbook
absences? Let
somewhere.
me find out.
We'll want to check that. It might not be in this one, but it could be in the,
It's definitely in the other
it
handbook.
is in the other handbook. I just can't remember if it's 5 or 7
Okay, hold on.
days.
I think that was the
Whoa.
question, because it's in two different places, and
It
one
was
place
in
it
two
says
different-
5, and the other says 5 to 7.
Yeah. You're
Okay.
correct on that, thank you.
Hold on. Students who exceed 5 unexcused absences in a semester may forfeit their eligibility for extracurricular activities to include clubs, athletics, school dances, prom, etc. The attendance review committee shall review each student case to determine recommendations to the principal as per the student handbook. So am I leaving that at 5?
Well, that was one of the things that we brought up as a point
Okay, I'm gonna
of
highlight
discussion
this.
for
Yeah.
the handbook, because we would also want to make sure that how that's being applied
Be consistent.
can be consistent.
All right, I'm
Now,
just going
this is
to
the
highlight this.
handbook, right?
This is the athletic handbook.
This,
Right, but it ties to
Right.
because of that policy in there
Yeah.
with the number of absences.
So I'm just going to note that this says 5, and if you change it, we'll change it.
Thank you.
Great.
but we also have under illness such as femur, vomiting, and diarrhea. So is this is
Well,
the
this,
athletic
I
handbook?
didn't touch any of this.
Okay.
Because this is going to reflect whatever it says in the handbook, right? Because it says, let me close this, hang on. Go a little bigger here.
Or we further up, and we haven't got to
Boy.
this yet.
Oh, boy. Oh, boy.
Wait,
No, this is right after this. So athletes are expected to attend all practices and games. I guess we're going to come back to the vacations thing. The coach must be notified in advance of any absence. The student athletes will be determined to be ineligible to participate in practice if they were not in attendance on the day of the practice, with exceptions as noted above. Yeah.
Right, and then in here too, when a student has 7 or more unexcused tardies.
Oh, yeah.
So can you highlight that also? So
Yep.
we can make sure that there's alignment?
For sure.
Thank you.
Throughout the
You're talking with
semester.
the Handbook, student
The
handbook.
handbook, yes.
Right.
I just
Yeah.
want to make sure.
No, I agree that they should be,
All right.
so the one doesn't get used against the other.
We're taking all this out because it is noted above. Okay, great, perfect. Sorry, back to the vacations thing. Am I taking this out? Are we leaving it in? Like, what are we doing with this?
Well, do we have something in the student handbook about vacations? Or don't we?
I don't remember seeing anything. I have to double
Okay.
check, but.
I mean, it's all covered under the attendance policy, is it not?
Except the school vacation, because you're committed to that sports team. And so some sports teams, if they have games or practices and the students are away on vacation, that would mean that it would be considered an absence or playing time to be affected.
Yep.
And so they're making a commitment to the teams.
Are teams allowed to schedule
During school vacation?
practices
Yes,
during,
they have to.
Oh, yes.
not
Oh,
just
it's
games,
fine. Yeah.
just practices as well?
Especially during basketball.
Okay, so I think it needs to say that. It should say like, I assume that's through like MIAA, like per MIAA, teams are allowed to have practices and games during school vacations.
Thus, families
Okay.
and students should.
All right, I'm going to write some
Plan
words.
accordingly.
I'm going to write some words here. All right, here we go.
I like that, the piece, plan accordingly, put it, maybe.
Okay, here we go.
And then you could link it and say, as attendance rules continue to apply.
So the question is,
Right?
are we saying then they can't go out for the team or shouldn't go out for the team because that's already been planned? Or are we saying there's some sort of,
Is there an exception to that?
right, is there a consequence for them going away? Like, maybe they had a starting role before they went on vacation. If they went away on vacation, they don't have that starting spot when they
Or we
come
can
back.
just say are expected to, like, and we don't have to say like must. I don't know,
Because
like,
if they choose to go, then it's up to them, that they receive the consequences.
Right. But
So
I'm just,
probably expected is better to say than they must.
I'm just thinking that, again, our goal is to what? Is it to support our athletes to understand the commitment to that sport? Is it to help the coach, and I think it would be a help, to make sure that they had a leg to stand on if they chose a consequence for that player, and the parent, got upset?
and there's also just the information piece to it, like, so that parents aren't just assuming that there won't be any games or practices over school vacations.
Right.
Like, if this is saying right here, like, there could be practices and games
Right.
over vacation.
Well, there's also the piece too about the rest of the team. You decide you're going, or your parents decide you're going, and they need to understand that it affects the rest of the team who's staying behind, who's working on practices during vacation, and their commitment. And if you're a key player, it probably would affect the rest of the team. I mean, it's called a team for a reason.
Right.
You're all supposed to be there for each other, and it's,
Yeah, I mean, I want to be sensitive to families. I'm thinking of the Thanksgiving
Correct.
game. I know we don't have the Thanksgiving game here, but it's pretty big in certain
We have a
communities.
Thanksgiving Eve.
We have
It's the
Thanksgiving
night
Eve.
before Thanksgiving, I
Yeah.
believe, was our football game
So
here.
which makes it actually easier for families to go away to another community, to
Right.
have family in another community. But in some communities, that's not the case. And if you are in a Super Bowl challenge that's after Thanksgiving. There's, some speeches that are given from coaches to the players about, you got to stay here for Thanksgiving because I want you here to make sure that you're a part of the team, and there's still kids.
Then it becomes a tug of war.
It is a tug of war.
Who's
Do I
gonna
go
win?
with my family, or do I,
Yeah.
go with and so I think we want to write something that respects both, but I think family comes first.
All right, this is what I wrote. Tell me what you think. Per MIAA, teams are allowed to schedule practices and games during school vacations. Therefore, student athletes are expected to plan accordingly. Players should understand the commitment to their team and strive to attend all scheduled practices and games, even over school vacations.
Nicely said.
Yep.
Thank you.
I like that better than the other part.
Simply said.
All right. I'm going to unhighlight that because we like it. Unhighlight. Okay.
Well, we're going to send this back to the athletic director for his...
So we're going to vote on it. We're going to say we like this, with the exception of that one line about the emails.
Well, when
about
we
it.
vote on something as a board, it becomes binding, and then it becomes set in
Right.
stone. So before we do that,
So we
I
make,
think we should collaborate with the athletic director and let him
We should-
see
we
the
should
changes
finalize it.
before...
I'm just trying to save some time. So if
We
we
should or
vote on it,
shouldn't?
We should finalize it. In other words, get his input.
before we
Get
vote?
a final
All right.
document, and then that's what we
Yeah, I agree.
we go
Yeah,
with.
I
Should
can
vote on
review
the
this
final
with them.
document.
Right, and
Which
then
we
that
can do,
give-
which should be able to
right.
do that by the next meeting.
Oh,
Right.
easily.
Great.
There was one piece in there, I thought while you were scrolling, it had also mentioned like that attendance or that appeal committee, and I'm not certain if that is still in the handbook or not.
Yeah, I've not heard about an attendance committee, so,
That appeal committee, they just read it in the handbook. I just thought I had seen something when she was going through this one, that it might
yeah,
have
I
carried
don't know if
over
that
into
still
here.
exists.
Yeah, I don't think there is a
What do you
appeal
say?
committee. I think it might have been an idea, that's why
Yeah.
I was living in that
The
document.
attendance appeal committee. I did see it in here somewhere.
see it?
Yeah, I
All
saw
right,
it.
hold on, hold on. Appeal?
Appeal or attendance, I'm not sure which.
Attendance, like appeal,
There are no matches for the word appeal in this document.
Attendance, it'd be
I think it's attendance.
attendance committee maybe?
Yeah.
There are no matches for attendance committee.
But I heard you read that.
All right, hold on. Attendance. Daily attendance is submitted. There's a note
Conflict of
over there,
resolution?
from over
The
there.
attendance review committee
Attendance
shall
review
review each
committee.
student's attendance.
Where are we?
Athletics, school dances, prom, et cetera. The attendance review committee shall review each. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, the fifth one down on the.
Oh, we're
under
just
the
not there yet.
results.
I
Okay.
gotcha. Hold on, tell me when we get there.
Oh, I think we went past it.
I went past it.
Yeah.
There?
I can't see it with the box.
I can't see it with the box.
Yeah, I can see it with the
Okay.
box there. But go back up, it's because it's not on that screen anymore. So
Okay.
go up. Can you scroll up on the gray box to the left?
This one?
Yes.
Oh, I gotcha.
Yeah, okay, hold right there.
Oh, found it.
Okay, thank you.
Page 14.
There we go.
Okay, here we go. Go away. The attendance review committee shall review each student case to determine recommendations to the principal as per the student handbook.
That's the part that is,
Yeah, I don't know if that's in existence still.
Are we questioning that?
yes.
Yes.
Great. Highlighted. Boom. Ha-ha. Love doing things. Okay, here we go. All right, I'm gonna have to leave in 5 minutes. I'm sorry.
That's all right.
Thank you.
Teachers. Request that teachers receive teacher's report from student athlete as outlined above, provide written feedback to coaches, and return to students by the end of class.
What?
Yeah, what does that say?
We
I mean,
say,
they do it, the teachers give out like a weekly progress
Yeah, it's the
report. I don't know
students
if
that are
that's what that's
responsible.
trying to say, but that statement's very confusing.
They're responsible for, the students are
Student
responsible for
progress.
taking it around
Right.
and getting it.
Oh, because they have to be passing the class.
Correct.
And they check weekly as opposed to mid.
Yeah, it's like a week.
oh,
it's like a
here, right here.
checkbox.
Submit to each teacher each week, Friday or earlier if no school Friday, the teacher's report to the coach, see Annex A, and submit to the coach at the end of the day, allowing the coaches to gain insight on student progress or lack of progress throughout the week. Coaches will determine ramifications if reports are not submitted to them.
Meaning like the player wouldn't be able to play or
Right.
something of that nature if the report wasn't handed in.
So every week, student athletes have to get a report from their teacher and give it to their coach?
Yeah, they have it, so
Is that a thing that happens?
it's a thing, and it does happen,
Have a little,
yes,
sheet, and they're turned in, they're signed off on with their grades.
correct.
Okay, so that's fine.
Yeah, I don't know what that,
Okay.
that's very
We're going to take
confusing.
this out.
Okay.
I would take that out.
See you later.
I think it's repetitive anyway. It doesn't
Agreed.
make any sense.
The admission
That's the
will ensure
question.
daily attendance is submitted to each coach. Oh, that's there again.
Well, I think you went to it
Oh.
before.
Are we back up? No, we're toward the bottom of the document now.
Yeah, it's there
Yeah,
again.
it's here again. So it's the same thing
Because we haven't
in a
figured
different
out
spot.
up top who's,
Who's doing the attendance?
So that's
doing
like,
the
so
attendance.
this is the administration section?
Yeah.
So it's repeated
This
back
is
and
like
back?
the
right.
responsibilities
So
of the
that will have to be
administration.
Have to
adjusted
be
too.
determined.
Okay. Superintendent of schools, review annual recommendations for changes/updates to the athletic handbook. Oh, this is here because Frank put it in to make sure that we don't go another million years before reviewing this handbook.
Well, it shouldn't be hard once it's done in there.
We should be
Put there.
Should be done annually.
reviewing.
So the superintendent is going to
Right.
review it during the month of July every year.
Yep.
So there's that.
We should start looking at the handbook every year.
Oh,
if there are
yes,
any
this is
updates.
another one.
They are supposed to be
Yeah.
reviewed annually as well.
Okay, this one's a good one.
Okay, so transportation. Transportation is provided for all away games. Student athletes must use school transportation unless a caregiver provides a written request at least 24 hours in advance approved by the athletic director. A second note signed by the caregiver is handed to the coach at pickup. Caregivers will only be allowed to transport their own student athletes. Under no circumstances may student athletes transport themselves or ride with other students. My only issue with this is when there is an away event where a bus is not provided, i.e. golfers going to Cold Spring. There's no bus. So if there is a golfer whose parent or guardian cannot take them there, there's literally no way for them to get there unless they ride with a
I
teammate.
believe we have a policy that does not allow that. In our general policies for like field trips and different other things, I quickly glanced at it today, that does not allow us to let students or whatever, because there's no van or no bus.
So I understand if there's an away game and there's a bus, everybody should be on it, for sure, unless there's this special thing that happens. So, I mean, I did that. Every away game I went to, I went on the bus, my parents drove, and then they drove back to the school, and I rode back on the bus. Like, that's the way it goes. But if there's no school-sponsored transportation, how do we expect them to
And
get
if that's
there?
the only team, the golf
Is it the
team,
only
then we
team? I
have to,
don't know.
we have to figure out how we're gonna do this. Because,
Because I don't want to say in here, we are saying under no circumstances should a student athlete transport another teammate when we know it's happening. I don't want to do that.
right, then it's a liability.
So we
So-
need to figure out how to deal with that.
Do you have a council of aging and where?
Yes,
Do they have a van?
probably.
We'll figure it out.
know where you're going, that's a great idea.
Okay, so leave this in here and we'll figure out how to get people places.
Yeah.
Go up a second.
I think we should
or just
always
what do we
transport.
say above that?
Yeah, we need to figure that out. Yeah.
We're saying transportation must be provided and must use school transportation unless, okay, unless. But, and
So
they must
like-
use school transportation unless the caregiver gives a written note, and what's that mean?
So that's like, we are headed to Aunt Mabel's funeral in Rhode Island directly after this game. I'm going to take my student, they are not going to go on the bus after the game. We are taking them and going straight there.
But
So
what happens
I have
if
given
we're
24
going out to
hours.
dinner tonight, and I want to take the kid because I don't want to have to wait and then go out?
Well, if you're
I don't
willing to
think it
give
really matters
24-hour
what the
notice to the
objective
athletic
is. I think
director
it's-
and a second note to the coach because you care that much about a steak dinner, then I guess that's going to happen.
But I don't even think people need to provide a reason as to why. If a parent is saying, I need my child, I'm taking my child from this game, it's my child, I'm taking them for my, whatever reason I want to, like, as long as that rule, that was followed,
It doesn't really
there should not be an
doesn't really
issue.
So we,
It should
so
not
we have
matter
something
why.
in
No
writing
one
that
needs to know
covers
why.
us.
That's right.
That covers us.
That's the key.
For the, we need something in
Correct.
writing.
In writing.
So it
24
covers
hours
us
in
for the
advance.
liability issue, because now you've released us from being liable for
Correct.
getting that kid back to the school.
And the second note by the caregiver is important, like, it has to be followed through.
Right.
So there's a complete,
So he knows,
Right.
he or she.
I mean,
Coach
I don't know
knows.
if you're married to the 24 hours, I would just think that it should be done before the event. In other words,
Right.
it shouldn't be done
Right.
after the game. I just decided, I'm taking my.
You don't
kid.
write it on the back of a napkin and
Yeah.
hand
and
it
I
to him
wouldn't
when
like
he's
hit
boarding
that,
the
like,
bus.
they're doing it like 20 minutes before the bus is leaving or something,
Right.
like, I wouldn't,
Yeah.
I mean, I
They
think
they
that's
need to
there
know
for
something.
some
I
protection.
think I'm with the 24 hours and then the
Yeah.
second note. I
That's-
think
don't
this covers
that's
us.
Unreal.
I think it
Realistic.
eliminates,
Yeah, you should know by then.
frivolous, like,
Yeah.
yeah, we're good. All right, that's it.
Oh, can you just go there for a second?
This
Okay.
this
we're
is
good.
you.
No, I wasn't even looking at that. I was just double checking.
Oh,
the,
okay. I'm going
what
to
we had-
unhighlight this because
Okay.
we like it. Okay. So what do I need to do with this now?
You have to give it to athletic director.
Yeah, there's a couple
to-
things we questioned.
Is that on a disk drive?
Is it on Google or
Oh,
OneDrive?
gosh,
Can
this
you
is
just
on
share it?
this is on the flash drive, because I had it on my computer, and then Mike had me put it on a flash drive so he could put it on his computer.
What
So
if
all the
you-
changes
Oh.
I just made are on that flash drive.
I can save that and share it if you do file, and then you just,
Is this your, whose computer is this?
this is
That- That machine's,
Yeah.
that
Where is this computer? This is
right
just the
there.
monitor.
No, it's built there.
Oh, it's in there.
It's in there.
It's in there. Yep.
Great.
Comments, concerns, subcommittee, we've already done.
Save.
We're good.
So now you can just take that flash
Just,
drive.
Agreed. And if you actually would go
didn't know
in,
you were
you just
left-handed.
see share at the top, from the right-hand corner, underneath the
No,
see
no,
share.
no, we're just about done.
Or
We're
you
good.
could save it to
Thank
the
you.
cloud and then you can share it with each other that way. You can do that. OneDrive.
Sorry, guys.
Yep,
Good night, Julie.
OneDrive.
See ya.
Yeah, I hate to lose all
Not this
this.
PC.
We just went through
You named
it.
it athletic handbook, which is fine. You have a file name, then just hit save.
Well, hold on, it's saving it to this PC.
That's-
I want
that's
to change
fine.
it to the flash, no. What do I want to do?
It doesn't matter because we're going to save it. I would have just saved it to, you could save it to the PC, you're naming it athletic director, you save it, and then we
Yeah.
can just share it that way.
Okay, great. So this? Yes? Oh, I thought I was trying to save it to the
You were trying
cloud.
to save it to the cloud.
I was
And
trying to
that's
save it to the
OneDrive.
cloud.
OneDrive.
Right.
It's named athletic, it'll just go under apps, hit save.
All right, great. Save.
It looked like it was thinking. and I-
Looks like it was doing something.
There it goes.
There we go.
Now it's connecting, invite people, and now
Okay,
you can
great.
type our names in and you can share directly with us.
Now, I think the only thing that has to be checked is the thing on,
Who is sending the attendance?
correct. I think that's the
I'll do
only
that
thing
tomorrow.
that is
I can't see anything.
You
Fuzzy.
can just type in the email if you want. Do you want me to send it to you?
I mean, I typed in, yeah, see, I typed in sham for Shampoosian, and it
because it
says
would
no
be-
suggestions are found.
Oh, it doesn't,
So it
yeah.
wouldn't read him like that?
Oh, it wouldn't? Okay, great. Why don't you figure that out?
Thank you, Dr. Coleman.
So that should take care of this, right?
Sounds like
We'll
it.
get that
work
correction, we'll get the final, we'll have the
Tell me there's
footnotes,
nothing
whatever
else
they
on
are,
this.
taken off, and we'll have the final, and then we can vote on this next meeting, and it's done, correct?
Finally.
Yep.
Okay. That being said, anything else on that? Nope, okay. No old unfinished business, comments and concerns, I'm gonna go on a limb, say there are none. Subcommittee discussion, none. Communications, none. Other business, none. That being said, unless anybody has anything else, I'm going to make a motion to adjourn at 9:13 PM.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Aye.